Good morning. It is a Wednesday edition of the program. It would normally be a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. I'm sorry. I think a lot of you maybe are aware of what's going on in my life this week, and so I just kind of don't have that in me today, and I apologize for that. It's not gone forever or anything along those lines. And if you really were like, dude, this was the week that I was going to win the Glory Days Grill gift card, I don't know. Hit us up on Twitter. Ask a good Would You Rather question today at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, and I'll give it away anyway. But you got to do that. You got to get on there and give me a good Would You Rather Wednesday question. And if you do, then yeah, I got you. Somebody will win. But yeah. So I don't want to talk about it right now. Talk about it, I think, at some point. I want to get into the show. I want to talk sports. Drew will be here in a second, and Lord knows that will not be an appropriate time for me to try to talk to you about what's going on in my life. We will talk this morning. We will talk to an old friend, Charlie Batch. Of course, former Steelers quarterback. We don't like that, but great guy. We do like that. Talk about Saturday's matchup. We'll talk more. Aaron Schatz had some really interesting stuff this week for FTN Fantasy about, like, why the Ravens moved ahead in DVOA. They're now the number one DVOA team in football despite having 5 losses. They're the number one all-around DVOA team in football. And yet, like, there are other advanced statistics that don't like the Ravens quite as much as DVOA does, and he's trying to explain that, and some of that has to come down. It just comes down as simply as fumbles. Like, the Ravens fumble the ball more than some of these other teams do, and so that's the reason. We're going to let him explain it. He's smarter than us, so Aaron Schatz will join us later. And then also, of course, Navy got a huge win over Army on Saturday, and Landon Robinson, all AAC first-team defensive tackle. He ran a fake punt to pick up a huge first down. He's going to tell us more about that a little bit later on in the program, so all of that coming up on the program today. Drew's here, but we just lost him in the same moment because he just saw the new print issue of Press Box, which is available starting today. You'll be able to get to various locations around town.
Did I make it?
Pick up the best of? No, I don't.
I did a couple years ago.
You did. That is a fact. Drew has been in.
I was kind of waiting to see if
well, did you make the U.S. Senior Open?
No.
Okay. Well, there you go. See how that
was. 14-hole qualifier, I would have made it.
Oh, yeah?
And the other 4.
I thought you weren't even trying anymore.
That was my last go-around.
Okay.
That was it.
All right. You gave up on that.
Well, it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, the game passed you by. I understand. You can't hack it anymore.
So
who's
in here?
Well, a lot of people in there.
Yeah, but a lot of these people
we celebrate
are
the top
just in there for being
people,
in there.
Performances, and moments of 2024. What do you mean? They're just in there for being in there. What does that?
I mean, you're just checking off a lot of,
like who? Who do you take umbrage with that made the best of 2024 issue of Press Box? Who do you have a problem with?
Isabella Minervini.
You have a problem with Isabella Minervini. What's your beef with Isabella Minervini?
And Blake Horvath.
Oh. They just beat Army on Saturday.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Right, well, keep him then.
Okay. Now, again.
Just keep him.
What's your beef with Isabella?
I have no idea.
What? You just came in here to fight that?
Never heard of her.
Just came in.
No, I'm good.
Well, God, if you've never heard of her, there's no way she accomplished anything.
You guys even got Cole Irvin in here.
Well, not for his pitching, for what it's worth. Although for 2 months, he pitched really well, and then that all kind of fell apart. You all right? It's going to be a really short appearance for Drew today. It was good to see him, though. Appreciate him stopping in and hanging out with us. Best of issue is available today. And you can go to pressboxonline.com/bestof to read all of it. Didn't really take much this year to choose a Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. Yes, it is Lamar Jackson. Perhaps you've heard of him. Is he going to be the MVP? It doesn't look like it. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? No idea. But there ain't anybody in sports in this city that is more impactful and more significant and puts more smiles on faces than Lamar Jackson has in 2024. So that's actually what Bo Smoka's cover story is about, is Lamar's relationship with the city and what he means to the community. So I would encourage you to go pick that up starting today. And, again, you can read all of it at pressboxonline.com/bestof. Our annual Best Of issue is available today.
Too bad it's not a Best Of.
What?
The actual issue itself.
It's good to see you. Come to your house, chew gum, whole thing.
No, it's nice.
Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Lamar
Who
Jackson.
Lamar. Wow, boy, you guys did some deep thinking there.
Wait, what were we supposed to? Hey, I'm sure we're going to give it to somebody else.
Well, we do have a baseball team in town.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Nate, tell me who it is that you'd nominate from the baseball team, because I'd love to hear it.
I don't know.
Cole Irvin?
How about Towson last night?
Oh, my
God. Losing their being 4.5-point favorites.
Oh, no.
And then giving up the last 8 points of the game to lose.
No.
They were up by 19.
Were they really at one point at Robert Morris?
Griffin's good, though, because he won our NBA Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
Who won
good.
that? Oklahoma City?
No,
Milwaukee.
Lost to Milwaukee.
Nice. Way to go, Griff.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, he just got randomly assigned to Milwaukee.
That's pretty funny.
I mean,
it was you.
I don't know if there might be some murmurs about.
I know.
I randomly needed Connor McMichael to score a goal last night for me, and he didn't. I want to punch him in the face.
Connor McMichael.
Push the Caps.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I said that about a week ago as
I had
well.
a four-way parlay last night. 3 of them hit, and that clown didn't score.
Connor McMichael.
Well, how could you pick him? I've never heard of him.
He's
got
Caps leading
did you
scorer.
confuse him with Connor McDavid?
Yeah,
He's the Caps leading scorer.
Is he?
He is.
I had no
Should pay
idea.
attention to sports.
Should I?
Yeah.
That's the one
You
sport
oughta-
that you pay.
you
You didn't know who Blake Horvath was.
100%. He plays for the Islanders.
Nailed it.
Oh no, that's
Nailed
Bo Horvat,
Nailed it. You got.
who also didn't score last night.
You might need to stop betting on hockey. Though.
Punch him in the
You
face.
might need to. Slow down
I had a
on
good one last week.
You might
I'll
just
just
slow
leave it
down
at
on your
that.
hockey betting.
I'm good for now.
You have you sought out where you're going to go for your manicure? Have you sought that out?
I don't have to worry about it.
You sure?
I wrote about it Monday.
I saw.
I said.
I heard.
I just wanted to. I wanted to just get it out. Hey, I made this wager.
You should probably have a place lined up. You should probably
don't
know
need
where
it. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see. I like the team.
well, hang on a second. The last 9 times they played the Steelers, I'm sure they've won a bunch of them.
It's got nothing to do with anything.
Nothing to do with anything.
This is the game Saturday.
This is the one. Huh? It was pointed out to me.
Russell Wilson's not coming here and beating the Ravens.
You said that about.
Come on.
You said that about the guy that's going to join us in 12 minutes.
That was a different time. The quarterback we had back then stunk.
Well, not really. He went on to win the Super Bowl that year.
Well, he didn't.
Well, he did. More or less.
Bolden did.
Well, yeah, that guy was pretty good.
Right. And Jacoby Jones.
Well, at least they didn't run him off afterwards.
And Jacoby Jones.
We should talk about that. We should do that again today. So, Drew, if the Ravens lose on
Is the new
Saturday,
Sam Fender song on your list of
there is
best
a
songs?
Sam Fender song on
The
my
new one?
top 20 list. Well, I don't know which one's the new one. It's
the one off the new album. Just came out.
It is on the new album. It's that one. That's going to be on my list,
Let's see.
100%.
I mean, if it's not number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away. I'm only at 15 on the list.
Yeah, people
Griffin.
watching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Nailed it. There you go. That's our guy. Oh, Drew Forrester.
What number do you have it at? 3?
I don't know what number it is.
Now he's got to change it. So
No, I have it.
No.
I don't put it in order.
Oh, okay. It's a great song.
It is a very good song. I
Yeah.
agree with that. It
Yeah.
is on the list. Where is it on my list? It is. I'll tell you.
Well, you don't have to tell me because I'll tell everybody else.
That's a great point. It is number 11.
Oh, cool.
Number
That's
11
way out
on
of.
the list. Well, you know what? You can make your list of the top 20 songs of 2024, and you can put it wherever you'd like to put it. On my list, it's number 11. That's just the way that it works. Drew's gonna have to get a manicure. It's a.
well, hopefully not. I guess
If the Ravens lose, is it just a manicure? That's all he's doing.
Yeah. Well, the way I wrote
And
it
did
down
you
was-
ever figure out what the other one was?
We
yeah,
did.
we did. It was.
We did.
He said if Jameis,
Doesn't
he
throw
said
another
Jameis
pick
won't
six.
throw another pick 6 the rest of the year.
And
He hasn't.
Yeah, he has.
and he's
You're-
getting benched.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's getting. No, again, he keeps saying this.
You're in trouble.
Did we agree on the other side? Because on this,
I forget. I don't know.
I don't.
you guys
I'm
aren't
pretty
gonna-
sure these were just 2 guarantees. These were
Oh.
not bets.
Oh, so you guys are going to weasel out of it. Okay.
No.
No,
No.
it's all good.
No.
I didn't bet anything.
No.
You guys can
When
weasel.
you come in here and say he's not going to throw another pick 6 all season, I'm not betting you that.
Right, because you're a weasel.
No. You're making a guarantee. That's what you're doing.
I'm going to get my fingernails
You're
in
making
red
that
and gold.
Oh, that's what you're going to go for Calvert Hall colors?
Yep.
That's going to be the look?
When we lose 31-10.
31-10. It was pointed
We're
out to
not
me.
losing to them.
It was pointed out
It's
to me
going to be
this week.
freezing, though.
Are you going?
No, I'm
Okay.
actually out of town.
It was pointed out to me this will be the first time that Lamar Jackson ever plays the Steelers in front of fans in Baltimore, which is so absurd that it's hard to kind of wrap your mind. I mean, we had talked, obviously, a lot before the first meeting about how much anomaly was involved in the Steelers, that dominant record that everybody was talking about. I was kind of willing to dismiss it because there was so much anomaly involved. What happened the first time, I'm not dismissing that. Like, they lost.
Oh, that was when we had everybody was worried about COVID.
Well, no, the only time Lamar Jackson has ever started against the Steelers in Baltimore.
We lost like 28-24
was
or something,
2020.
Right.
With no fans.
Everybody was worried about COVID.
Right. Well, now we know the whole thing was fake, obviously. It was just made up by the government.
Well, I don't know about that.
What?
I don't know about that.
I think it might have been.
I don't know about
it
that.
might have
I'm
been.
just getting over it again.
Yeah. I'm glad. Thanks for stopping by, pal. I do appreciate
Pretty sure it's not contagious. And if it is contagious, it's only contagious until Thursday.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
then
like,
yeah,
I'm
you're
in
good.
the back end of it.
Right. You're good.
I'm not
You're
giving it
good.
to you today.
Well, maybe
don't
not.
think.
Maybe not. I can't.
We're not losing to the Steelers.
You keep saying that. I am not
come
nearly as
on.
confident as you are about it. Not nearly as confident.
How would they come to Baltimore and beat us?
Well,
In what fashion?
probably in the same way
No, but
as the
in
Ravens
what
have
way?
lost a lot of their other
13-10 or 31-28?
Not 31-28.
All right. So if you want to make an argument that, and when I say this, I know you'll get offended. People get offended all the time. If they lose if they're going to lose,
and you know me,
Yeah.
regularly offended.
if they're going to lose, the only way they would lose is if Lamar has one of those games like he had up there, or like he had in the playoffs here, where he just doesn't, he doesn't get it going, and we do the dumb stuff that we normally do, like hit the quarterback after the ball's thrown, and throw a 38-yard pass and turn 3rd and 11 into 1st and goal, but yet Macari was running around downfield. Like, if that's the only way we lose. And in the games
well, the kicker sometimes misses kicks.
Okay, but in the past, he didn't do that. He did that in Pittsburgh, but in the past, in the playoff games, the games where Lamar, and I always use the word disjointed, in the games where Lamar looks out of whack and disjointed, that the Eagles game was a little bit like that. He didn't have a very good day. Like, that's how we lose. And it always winds up with the score being about the same thing. 20-12, 19-13, 16-13. That they're not beating us 31-28.
No,
They're not coming
I don't
here and
think
putting
so.
31 points up on us. But if you wanted to make, because I know you do, if you want to create a picture where Pittsburgh wins,
I'm
could
very desirous of that.
you could create a scenario where they beat us 17-14 because we just don't get anything going offensively, and Watt knocks the ball out of his hand once, and Lamar, the ball gets batted up in the air. Lamar hasn't thrown an interception. Lamar hasn't thrown a real interception all year.
Although he has thrown balls that could have been intercepted.
But he hasn't thrown a
yes,
real
the three
interception.
that he's thrown have
But,
not been.
you could see them knocking the ball out of the air, and it falls into the, Hayward grabs it by accident. I just don't – I think we're going to play up, and I don't think their offense is nearly good enough.
I think
I just don't see their offense being good enough.
I think I could join you on they're not going to lose this game if it was weird, right? Because we saw a video of reporters yesterday at practice for the Steelers tweeting out the video of like George Pickens being out there, and then the Steelers put out an injury report and they listed George Pickens as having not participated. So I don't know what to make of that. I think a lot of people believe that this was the week, and I think that the things that Mike Tomlin said made it suggest that they think this could be the week that George Pickens returns. It seems likely that they looked at this week and said, hey, this is the week that we can clinch the division, so let's try to have him back for that week.
If they win Saturday, they don't clinch the division, do they? Or they do?
They do. They
Okay.
clinch the division. Now, the Ravens
No,
could
that-
still tie them
That worries me.
at the end of the year at that point, but they would have
That
the
worries me,
tiebreaker.
because if the refs know that, then
Right. Then you think
we got a whole
then
other
the
issue.
fix will be in, right? Obviously.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but
No? Then what were you?
but I
trying to
see
say
a lot
then?
of weird stuff, man. The league's getting
Right.
weirder and weirder.
Right. So you're saying it's fixed?
What did you think happened at the end of that Saints game?
I don't even remember what the Saints game was.
Oh my
So that was where
Oh my
the
God.
referee, the Saints got tackled at the 1 yard line with 10
right.
seconds
Yeah, and then he
left,
stopped
and
the
the
clock
referee
when
stopped the clock.
they didn't have a
Yeah.
timeout, and so they were allowed
It
to.
saved him
They
about
lost. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, they lost because
the
they didn't
game.
make 2-point conversions.
It's true. It's true. They
You
lost.
should have never even.
A loss is a loss.
I believe the spread was like 7.5, so it didn't technically change the spread.
Yeah,
but-
there you
it
go.
did.
There you go. What did it change?
Well,
It
if anyone
did.
teased the Commanders, I guess,
Like what did it?
Commanders in a teaser.
You look,
Yeah.
I am all for that's incompetent officiating and it needs to be fixed. But trying to make it a something bigger than
I
that.
don't know, man. More I see it, more I'm not so sure. I see a lot of crazy stuff. I swear. Hey, this moron for the Colts dropping the ball on the goal line.
Well,
Did you see that cost that dude $4,500?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God! Some guy had a $20 wager and had like an 8 touchdown parlay.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunday morning you're just sitting there and you're like, I got $20 to waste.
Right.
I'm gonna go bing, 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 bing. He
Mhm.
got 7 of the 8,
I bet that's the reason why the guy dropped the ball.
and the only one he didn't get was that one.
That's a real
How about
shame.
the David Montgomery rushing total for the year?
Oh, it's literally half a yard off,
Really?
right? That's what
One
it was. Yeah.
half. He
It
was
like
775.5,
Yeah.
and he had 775.
Yep.
And at some point during the season, he got shorted a yard on a
they
bad
went back
spot.
yeah, right.
Well,
they
you
went
just
back
know,
and looked.
like,
Back to week 1 and
Mm-hmm.
Week 1, second quarter, 2nd and 5, he gets 4 yards, but he really got 5. But the one ref didn't see it. It's early in the year. Nobody cares. And they spot the ball to 40 instead of the 41. And he winds up getting 81 yards in that game instead of 82.
Well, you choose to bet, man. Like
Well, I
know
don't,
to tell-
but
oh,
my
no,
friends
yeah,
do,
right.
and they're always texting me.
They're always telling you about
with
these
these
things,
crazy
right?
stories.
Like, I don't know what you want me to say here.
I don't know. Like when
Dude,
Pasternak scored those 2 goals a couple weeks ago, my buddy was going to win $4,000, and they disallowed the goal because his stick was above his shoulder.
Son, your friend was going to win how much?
$4,000.
Unbelievable. Would he have shared any of that with you?
I don't know. He just
Think
said
maybe
to me.
like you could have gotten a bottle of
his
wine out of
text
that or
to me
something?
was,
Yeah.
effing Pasternak just scored 2 goals. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then 30 seconds later, I sent him a text and said, not so fast there, bub.
Right. That's how it went out with your friend. Your
Right.
friend who you were texting with that night that had bet on hockey goals. Well, you never do that.
I don't even follow hockey.
Yeah. It's Connor
Who's Connor McMichael?
Oh, Connor McDaniels or whatever the hell his name is. Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
It is the destruction of the country.
This specifically
Gambling.
sports betting.
Gambling on
That's
whether or not
specifically-
the next 3 minutes yields a goal is the destruction
that's
of.
the destruction of the country.
How about Vermont?
Well, winning the
Winning-
soccer championship? Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
Oh my
It's
gosh!
crazy. It's
the
nuts.
kid, the defender, and the goalie. Neither of them can go back to school.
Because of him coming out to play the ball like
Yeah,
that.
neither one of those kids can come back to school.
Well, what is the goalie supposed to do?
Well,
after
everybody
that?
is
Yeah.
saying the goalie should have knocked him down.
Oh, and just made it a penalty
Everyone
kick.
said the goalie should have knocked him down.
But
and-
I thought the kid, by trying to go wide, actually gave up the risk of not But once you try to go that wide, you might not be able to turn your body back around
Right.
in order to get the shot on.
Right.
I thought the goalie handled it about as well as he could. I don't know
Yeah,
that a
everybody
penalty
was
kick's
just
a better
saying-
scenario than.
I don't either, but I think again, I'm not blaming the goalie. It was a nice ball that the kid
Oh, yeah.
collected and fought off the defender, and the defender kind of did the only thing he could do. But in hindsight, he should have fouled him, the goalie. In hindsight, it's just not
But
easy.
he's going to get a red card. He's going to be kicked out of the game.
But
You
it's
gotta go to another-
overtime. It's overtime,
Yeah.
and I think you would say put the ball on the spot and make this kid kick it and score with his school's history on the line.
I know what you're saying, but is that really different than the scenario that played out? Right? Like,
I think it is.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. But it was a cool moment.
Oh, my God. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it was a cool moment. You know, they only lost 2 times all year. One was to UMBC.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yep.
Vermont.
Why, by the way, why do we do this to ourselves with this guy?
Well, I was going to say
when he came in here, beat us that year.
Hang on a second. Hang on.
Why do we do this?
You got to settle down over there. Griffin, remind everybody what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel.
You know what's going on. You're getting $7 in free slot play over at Live Casino and Hotel. Every time the Baltimore's football team or Washington's football team score touchdowns during home games this season, Live Rewards members are getting $7 in free slot play. Have to have your Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and be actively playing in order to get your prize. So once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play. At Ronald Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So you said earlier today, Russell Wilson is...
I said it. Russell Wilson's not coming to Baltimore and beating the Ravens.
And in 2012...
I said Charlie Batch isn't coming to Baltimore. I don't care what you people say all week. Charlie Batch isn't coming to Baltimore and beating the Ravens.
So how'd that one work out for you?
So anyway, let's
joining us this morning here on GCR, of course.
The next time I'm at Kennywood, Batch, I want to ride one of the big roller coasters with you.
Hey, come on by. It's right in my neck of the woods, so let's do it.
I love
the
it.
Great Charlie Batch, of course, former Steelers quarterback, best of the Batch Foundation. And he's part of the Steelers broadcast team. He is back with us.
He's the only Steeler we actually have ever liked.
Oh, and even that's really only when we talk to him. Like, at 20 minutes from now, we're going to say we hate that guy. Charlie, it's always great to catch up with you. Merry Christmas to you and to your family. Thank you for taking the time for us. I'll pose it to you this way. Drew's really confident. I am almost the opposite of that. I am terrified. Because I was willing the last time we talked to be dismissive and say, hey, sure, the Steelers have won 7 of 8 against the Ravens, but it's an anomaly, right? Lamar didn't play in most of those games, and everybody dropped the ball last year. And, like, I was willing to do all of that. After what happened the last time, hearing the way the Ravens players were talking about it and how tight they were and how much it's impacted them, that these numbers exist, it is very difficult. I think it's insane that there's a 6.5-point spread in this game. I think that's nuts. But I don't know how I can be dismissive of all of that going into a game like this.
Yeah, it is tough. And I think when you look at the numbers and the way the stats are, of course, they're swaying one direction or another and what you truly believe. But at the end of the day, for these players, this is the Steelers-Ravens rivalry, and they truly believe that. And whenever Coach Tomlin is preparing that way, he always goes back and shows the rivalry over the years, the 3-point games that you weren't supposed to win. You go in there and win, or games you're supposed to win and you lose. So this is one that's for all the marbles right here, because the Steelers know what's at stake at this particular point. They win the division. They lose, it's going to be a tough task, and maybe they have to go back to Baltimore in the playoffs. So this game is critical for both teams.
Charlie, what do you make of if somebody asked you to explain why it is the Steelers have had the upper hand? Again, acknowledging that a lot of the games still are very unique, but they are, 4-1 all time against Lamar Jackson as a starter, and most teams in the NFL haven't been able to do that. What would you offer as an explanation as to how the Steelers have managed to have at least more of Lamar Jackson's number than most anyone else in the NFL?
Well, both of these rosters are really the same, and it's almost like they draft the same. If they draft a linebacker, guess what? The Steelers are drafting a linebacker. So the rosters are very similar, and ultimately this game is determined by 1 or 2 possessions. And if these turnovers are critical in those particular moments, those are the ones that you have to take advantage of. And I promise you, they don't take it lightly, and that's why they put, most of the time this game is in prime time, just like this one is in the 4 o'clock start. So these are things that ultimately, this is just one that you just can't take for granted, because ultimately, you have to win this game to win the division.
One of the more interesting things, Charlie, I've seen, and I'm only referencing 2 games, you've seen them all, they may have done it up more often, is the way they use Justin Fields late in the game to pick up 3 yards, 4 yards. I don't remember what it was down distance-wise against the Ravens, but I know they did it against the Ravens and the Bengals. And everyone in the stadium knows Fields is getting the ball and running, but they can't stop it. It's a pretty cool option for them, especially late in the game when they're facing a situation that's pretty much calls for a running play.
Yeah, and it's worked so far this season. But as the season went on, I cautioned people. And people are like, oh, we can continue to make this work. Listen, it's easy when you're, a fan and saying, just use this player. Excuse me, my voice is harsh. just use this player, and then we can put him in at any point of the season. Okay, great, but as the weather starts to change, you're not as warm as what you're used to being warmed up, and guess what? Now you're thrown into the game. These things happen, and what happens, Justin Field goes in, makes one heck of a play, and then all of a sudden he hurts his abdominal because of that one particular play he wasn't warmed up. So we don't know if he's going to be ready to play this week, but it's just one of those things that these packages sometimes don't ultimately determine it, because if you're not warm and not able to execute it, it doesn't no good, and I don't think you'll be able to use that Justin Field package this week.
Charlie Batch is with us here on GCR. Charlie, obviously I think the biggest storyline for the Steelers going into the week is T.J. Watt and then George Pickens, and how critical is it? Like, we've seen them win games without George Pickens, but, again, not against the Ravens specifically. I don't know what a Steelers – it's not like there aren't other good defensive players, clearly, and Hayward stands out. But how critical is it for the Steelers for those two guys, if possible, to be on the field on Saturday?
Yeah, George Pickens, if he's not on the field, the passing offense of the Steelers is pedestrian. And I'm not saying that to throw any shade. The numbers are what they are. But when you lose somebody like a T.J. Watt, at one point they were 0 for 10 with him not being on the field, and they lost that game. Yes, they now are like 1-10 with T.J. missing a game, but he is that nucleus of that defense, and you know how much attention that he's able to bring to the equation. I'm not sure. And in the manner that he went down in the game, he was walking a little bit better. Obviously, they're saying that he's obviously going to be a game-time decision. If he doesn't play this game, this is going to be one that's going to be advantage for the Ravens, but he's going to do everything in his power. And I truly believe that TJ decision will ultimately be a game-time decision and whether or not he's active or inactive for this game.
It smells like he's going to figure out a way to get on the field.
This is amazing. They even got Batch trying to make us think he's not playing. We know he's playing.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at this particular week, and I'm sure both teams are going through it, this isn't going to be a full participation week, right? You're coming off of a short week. You're probably going to have a lot more walkthroughs, trying to recover and get your bodies right. So just by the eye test, it's hard to determine when you're watching practice whether a guy is truly going to play or not. And that's, and both teams are going through this. That's why you have to prepare as if everybody's going to play.
Charlie, what sort of year overall? I know he was hurt at the beginning of the season, obviously, but what sort of year overall do you think Russell Wilson's had?
I think he's having a satisfactory year, right? They're winning. Not a lot was expected from him, but and a lot of people were down on him coming into this year, but I wasn't. And when I looked at his numbers, he had over 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in Denver last year, and didn't even play in a couple of those games. So I was wondering where all of that shade was coming from. But coming here, they gave him a clean slate. Mike Thomas said, you are just one of these guys. You go out here and prove the value on whether you deserve to lead this football team. He has done that, and he has been nothing but the utmost professional. That's why these guys buy into the leadership that he brings to this team, because it was much needed, and I think that's why all these guys are gravitating around him.
Charlie, when on the flip side, when you have watched Lamar in these games, specifically in the Steelers games, right, do you see someone that does anything different in these games? We bring up that, like, I think Drew used the word disjointed earlier to describe it, and some of that obviously is based on the opponent that you're facing, right? But is there anything about Lamar uniquely against the Steelers, and I think a lot of people would maybe say the Chiefs as well in recent years, that's a little bit different than in other games that he plays?
Well, I think when you look at, again, it goes back on the roster size, right? And the Steelers are, they positioned it for him. And I say that because Alex Highsmith on the edge, T.J. Watt on edge, yes, we understand how fast Lamar Jackson is, but when you're able to kind of maybe neutralize that on the other side with the linebacker speed there and just the way that they play him, you have Mika Fitzpatrick playing closer to the box. So that's a way of neutralizing his speed to maybe contain him a little bit, because that's why you're in your division play. But you cannot, and that's why the Steelers always say, do not allow this guy outside of the pocket, because he will hurt you just like he's done everybody else in this league.
We heard Joey Porter on Hard Knocks a couple weeks ago say quite seriously that he would not eat meals when he was in Baltimore. Now, Joey Porter, we got far. There's some personal stuff there with him and Todd Heap, and we have particular dislike for Joey Porter in this city. But I wonder for you, Patrick Queen was talking about how he's expecting to hear a lot of things. What was the worst thing that you ever heard on a trip into Baltimore, if you could say it, and maybe clean it up a little bit? And then 2, were you willing to eat meals when you were in Baltimore, or did you assume that someone had tried to attempt to poison you, something along those lines?
Well, I think, when you go to this game, I mean, all fans are passionate, and it's always fun. You just smile. And a lot of times you have the headphones on, so you don't really hear as you're entering into the stadium. But once you actually walk onto the field, there are definitely a lot of colorful words that are being said that make you smile. So I love it from that perspective. That's what makes the rivalry so beautiful. But I think when I listen to Joey Porter, I'm like, that's probably the most idiotic thing that I've ever heard. Why would I go to Baltimore and I eat crab cakes? I love crab cakes. So I'm going to be there just like everybody else. But that's Joey, being Joey. And I'm wondering, I'm like, if you're not going to eat in Cleveland or Baltimore, are you packing your lunch or dinner? How are you actually, fueling your body? So, I mean, I think he was just having fun when it comes to that. And I may use idiotic a little harsh because I love Joey to death. But I think that was just playing for the camera right there.
That's one of us. We do not share that love for Joey Porter here in this city. Although Todd did tell me a really funny story about them ended up in a golf tournament together years later. That was pretty great.
But I'll tell you the one thing, though. I mean, there's a lot of hatred, that way. But when players get around each other, man, it's all family. And I promise you, we laugh around and we're sitting about having a beer with each other.
I hear you saying that. But, Todd, it was, legitimate. He wouldn't be around the guy for a little while afterwards. He was like, dude, I hated the guy. I thought it was a cheap shot. And then, time heals all wounds, I guess, is the way that it goes. Charlie, but before, because I do want to give you an opportunity to remind everybody about what you're doing with the Best Batch Foundation, but ultimately, if you, the roadmap to you, what you believe this game is going to look like on Saturday.
I believe it's going to be a tight game, and I think it's going to be one of those 3-point ball games. It could sway either direction. And obviously I'm biased because I love the Steelers, and I do want them to win. But I think they figure out a way to sneak out a victory because they're able to cause one turnover that nobody thinks going to happen.
Oh, we pray that you are wrong about that, my friend. All right.
Next time I'm in West Mifflin, I'm hunting you down, and we're going to Kennywood.
Yeah, I don't know about it.
Absolutely.
Charlie, the reason why we put aside the uncomfortable nature with you is because we know what a good human being you are. Can you remind everybody about what it is that you do with Best of Batch Foundation?
No, I appreciate it. And, yes, with Best of Best Foundation, we're an educational foundation here in Pittsburgh. We just celebrated 25 years. And we actually are an educational foundation. We focus on STEAM programs and our after-school programs as we serve 3,800 kids in 9 counties throughout southwestern PA. So during this time of year, we have our Batch of Toys drive, which is a play off my name. We adopt over 400 families, which will impact over 1,600 kids this year. So as we collect toys, from there we wrap them, then actually deliver them in our Santa sleighs, which I'm out right now collecting the final toys for part of this drive so we can be part of it and ready to deliver. But it's just really cool to be a part of it. And with this program, it takes over 1,300 volunteers to make this program happen. So for everybody who has been a part of it, who have sent things, into us, you go to batchfoundation.org. There's a click and ship opportunity for you to be able to provide toys for kids and help put smiles on kids' faces during this holiday time. So we're truly grateful for everybody who believes in what we're doing. And to your point, when you do get to Pittsburgh and you go to West Mifflin and you come to Kennywood, we're only 10 minutes from Kennywood. So you're actually going to have to take a tour of our facility as we just went from 5,300 square feet to 33,000 square feet. So we're excited to continue to grow and do our part in this city. And we're just really grateful for everybody who believes in that.
That's absolutely amazing. But we're also probably going to choose not to eat when we make that trip. Just the reality of the circumstances. We don't know, what you guys put French fries on sandwiches. It's a weird place. I don't know what to do about any of that. Charlie Batch 16, of course, is how you follow him. Charlie, we always appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you and to your family. Continue to keep up all the incredible work you do. And who knows, maybe we're talking again here in just a couple of weeks.
Hey, I appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie Batch with us here on GCR.
Why would we be talking about them in a couple of weeks?
You'll want to talk about the Penguins. You want to talk about goal scorers.
Yeah, because they're not doing anything. They're not making any noise.
It's not about whether
in
they're
the
making
postseason.
Oh,
no.
You want to double that? You haven't even won this one yet.
Let me win this.
You're
one.
already.
Let me win this.
You're
one.
already looking ahead to the next one. You're already considering what the next one might be. Appreciate that. Appreciate Charlie taking the time.
Charlie's a good man.
When he sleeps.
Oh, you're terrible. Just had the dude on.
We told him as soon as we finished.
I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law, by the way.
Yeah. I didn't want to.
That's a
at
bummer.
some point we'll talk more
sudden?
about it. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Very sudden.
Oh,
very
my.
sudden. And it's just.
Oh, my.
but I'm not.
Sorry to hear about that.
No, I appreciate it. It's very nice of you. When we come back in, we're going to talk about the Orioles. They signed a player since the last time I was here. They got their guy.
Yeah, they did. All right.
You thought they weren't going to upgrade.
It comes with a walker.
You thought
and the pudding.
He's 35. Drew's talking about him like he's 80. Who was it?
With a walker.
Who was it?
Some pudding and a TV
there
guide,
was a famous,
so he knows when to watch the Golden Girls.
Thank you. Hang on, wait a second. The Golden Girls is a great television
It is pretty
show.
good. If you're 80.
Shut up. Who sent the tweet a few years back that was like, the way that broadcasters discuss 30-year-old athletes is unbelievable.
Like their horses that need to be put out.
He's 30 and he's
pasture.
playing. It's a miracle.
Right. Well, you know he is 32.
A miracle.
Yeah, right.
How could he possibly put one foot in front of the other?
Right.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to Wacomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams. For tickets and info, visit GovChallenge. That's G-O-V, govchallenge.org. Drew's here, Glenn Clark Radio. Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores-making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special Best of 2024 issue. On the cover, we celebrate our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Lamar Jackson, as Bo Smolka profiles what the quarterback means to the community beyond the football field. Also inside, we celebrate the top people, performances, and moments of the year in local sports. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read the entire issue and find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Wednesday edition of the program.
What did you
Drew
think
Forrester.
about last night?
But Maryland?
No, the showdown.
Showdown. I don't know what the showdown
Chef
was.
and Rory beating up on the.
Believe it or not, I didn't spend any time.
Oh,
with
that's
that.
right. You don't like sports.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pretty.
That's the one.
A pretty big deal.
Was it?
It was actually awful.
Well, I can't. How is it going to be good?
It was awful.
They've tried like a million different versions of this. It's just not.
Here's the one thing that doesn't work right away that I can't believe they haven't figured out. You can't play in the dark. I mean, the place was lit up,
right?
But it's still dark.
Was it on the East Coast?
It was in Vegas.
It was in Vegas.
So it started at 6 o'clock here.
So 3 o'clock.
But it gets dark there at 5:45.
Yeah, right.
It was it was already when they came on the air. It was already starting to get dark. They played 5.
Isn't this why they tried to do it like the date on Black Friday one year?
Yeah.
Because they recognized that the primetime thing doesn't
work.
work.
The first time they ever did the lights idea at Sherwood Country Club, Tiger and Duval were playing, and they lit up the last 3 holes. And for whatever reason, and I don't know all of the ins and outs of how you construct these buildings to have the lights, the last 3 holes were all lit up, meaning it almost felt like you were in a football stadium.
Okay.
Yesterday, they put a light on the tee box. And it was big. I mean, it wasn't like a flashlight. I mean, it was a big, powerful light. They put a light in the fairway about where all the anticipated tee shots would wind up, and then they lit up the green. But the rest of the place was dark. They're driving around. They're running into ropes that they didn't see were there. So that doesn't work. And then the idea of this whole thing is we're going to take these 2 guys from the PGA Tour.
Right. And we're
going to take these 2 guys against Liv, and they're going to needle and heckle.
Right. And we're better than you, Liv versus the whole thing.
Then they put, and I don't even know what this means, but then they put $10 million of cryptocurrency on the line for the winner. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means it's worth $1.30 or if it's worth $10 million.
I think it's worth $10 million.
Because I don't know how it works.
Yes. Now, it could be worth $1.30 tomorrow.
Okay.
But today it's worth
So it's not really
$10 million.
worth $10 million. So they give them this money, and then they expect them to not take it seriously. You see what I'm saying?
Wait, say that? They expect them to
you
not?
put $10 million on the goal of this thing, forget the money, the goal of this thing is entertainment.
Right.
That's what it is. You're going to needle each other. Hey, nice putt there, Skippy. Hey, take your shirt off. Take your skirt off, Alex.
Well, that's how the skins games work.
Correct.
When I would watch them with my grandfather, it would be Fred Funk saying very chauvinistic things.
Right.
You know.
But
it was a different time.
But
it was a different time.
It was, but it also there is a connection.
It was in jest.
They gave them money.
Right.
But they gave him $100,000.
Right.
Lee Trevino didn't need $100,000. He
Right.
just wanted to go out and have fun and play golf and rib Colin Montgomery.
Mhm.
Right. Now they're putting $10 million on the line and saying to these guys,
But isn't that what you have to see? This is the really funny part. I can't believe I'm talking to you about this.
it isn't-
anyone cares.
It isn't
I can't
what
believe.
you put $10 million on the line and then ask them to goof around. And their
Right.
response to that is, I'm not going to goof around if there's $10 million on the line.
But it always felt fake. I can't believe I'm saying this. I never watched one of these things. But I remember was it Tiger versus Phil one year?
That was the first one. There was $9 million to Phil and $1 million to Tiger.
What?
Really?
To win,
Phil
because
won.
Phil
Right,
won.
Phil won.
Right, correct. But I remember there being they had a press conference, and Tiger tried to do a bit where he was like, how about we bet a side bet of $1 million on the first hole or something and it just was so fake.
Wasn't even his money.
And correct.
Now, that's how you would fix this thing.
Right.
How you would fix this is if you said to, I'll make the 4 names up, doesn't matter, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, and Max Homa, hey, each of you guys bring $2 million in cash.
Right.
You go get $2 million in cash, bring it to the event. Start on the first hole.
They're not going to do that because they're going to say, well, you're not allowed to make money off of it. Like, that's the.
But that's what would make it interesting.
We're not going to help you profit while we're putting up our money.
But that's what would. Well, I don't know about that because you could be winning money.
Right.
But that's what would make it interesting. That's when you would find out who can play under the gun like that. Anybody can play for some. You go tell me to go play for somebody's $1 million. I could do that. Anybody could do that. I would like to see them play for their own money. To see then what sort of entertainment value you get out of it, because you don't get any entertainment value out of it this way.
Well,
and you might have just had the wrong guys.
I don't know.
I mean, Koepka's not
Haven't they tried a lot of different versions of this thing? And have any of them been?
Well, yeah, they tried here's the funniest part. The most interesting one of them all was the one that had Peyton Manning and Steph Curry and Brady. Those were the golf wasn't great, but they were funny. Those guys are funny. Peyton Manning might be one of the funniest men in the world.
This goes back to the eternal thing I was saying.
It's Peyton, by the way.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. By the way, my kids are obsessed with that. They're obsessed.
No, Peyton.
Right, I know. Thank you. I get it. I know. I've seen the commercial. I have.
Peyton.
Is it
huh?
Peyton?
No, it's Peyton.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know what you're saying.
All right, enough. Enough. God. You really let that. Drew took a 5-second bit, 2-second bit, and tried to keep it going for 43.
It's Peyton.
Had 2 seconds of life to it. I just don't. I will never be interested in watching exhibition sports. This is where I don't know why you can't get me to care. There are no circumstances. It's not just golf. I can't watch exhibition anything.
Like the basketball game outside of College Park.
Well, that one actually counted.
We clobbered those guys.
We says. Your guys, they're your boys.
Maryland.
I know. I'm aware. Your P1.
Is Syracuse any good?
Not really, but neither was Villanova, and they barely won that game.
Yeah, but this game's at home.
No, it's
in D.C.
It is
no, it's at Barclays, right?
It's in
New York.
It's in Brooklyn. Yeah.
It changes things a little bit.
Does it?
Well, a little. I mean, it ain't home.
It's not home.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
It's not home.
You wanted hard. You wanted
nailed that.
You wanted cutting hard information. There it is.
Please offer more breakdown of the Syracuse Maryland matchup.
Pearl Washington, hell of a player.
Sure. You know what? You make a great point.
Derek Coleman.
Yeah.
Great player.
Ronnie Cycli.
Right. Great player.
Yep. Mello. John Wallace.
Didn't he not have 2 N's in his name?
Who?
Ronnie Cycli.
That was Ronnie Turiaf that I
was
think
it R-O-N-Y?
Ronnie Turiaf.
I don't think Ronnie Cycli did either. I don't know why we called him Ronnie.
Ronnie Cycli.
I think it was only R-O-N-Y.
Let's find out. Hang on a second. It
was
indeed R-O-N-Y.
Yeah,
Ronnie Cycli.
Fraud. Total fraud.
It's a fraud because of how he spells.
Just put another N in there.
His name. I just want that to be repeated.
Put another N in there. Get it over
with.
His
name. He's a fraud because of how he spells it.
Put an N in there like the rest of the world.
All right, so the Orioles.
It's like you with 2 N's.
Yes, like a good American. Correctly spelling it while everyone else forgets a letter in their name. Today's show also
Glenn Campbell only had 1 N.
That's true, and he was a rhinestone cowboy. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is where you find everything you need to know about high school sports. We're into high school hoops season. And you can find out every matchup, the schedule, every result from every level all around the state by going to CountySports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Roy Clark said he was the best guitar player ever.
Glenn Campbell?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And Roy Clark was pretty good.
He was good. There's no doubt about that. I'm really struggling with that potential. Did you watch the Yacht Rock doc on
No.
You should watch it. It's really good.
No, I don't watch that stuff.
Okay. No?
I'm currently into Gran Torino.
Wait a second. You're into the Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah.
That came out 15 years ago.
04.
Was it 04? No.
06?
It wasn't 04.
06?
No, it was later in that decade.
Yeah, I'm currently into that.
Now, when you say you're currently into it, 08, by the way.
08.
Look at this guy.
Okay.
When you say that, you mean you're like repeatedly watching it?
No, 3 or 4 times here recently.
Why? It's still the same movie.
Yeah, but it's just got so much. Every time you watch it, you learn something else.
You did that thing. You're doing that thing around the house. You're doing I do remember.
You ever wake up one
I
day
had to.
and
I had to run.
realize
I had to
you
run
met
a,
somebody you shouldn't have effed with?
I had to run a bus trip once to
Like spits.
a UFC fight in Philadelphia.
That's
I don't know why we did that, but we ran a bus trip to Philadelphia.
You put it on,
and
that was the movie.
Think about the people that were on our bus trip
Right, that
to
was
a
the movie.
UFC
Oh
fight.
yeah, I gotcha.
Like,
Never mind.
think about
gotcha.
the crowd.
Don't even say anything
that
else.
I was dealing
Right,
with
sure. Yeah,
for a bus
Confederate
trip
flags on their hats
to a UFC fight.
Right.
And I was like, what am I gonna put on here? Like, I didn't own any UFC DVDs to put on the bus.
Right.
you know,
Warrior or anything?
Should have put on.
I don't
Can't
think
Buy
Warrior
Me-
was out at
Can't
that
Buy Me
point.
Love or
Yeah,
something.
Can't buy me
16
love.
candles.
That's what you said
16
before.
candles.
It's like, what could I possibly put on for this crew that I would keep them from being? Because now it's not only them, it's they're drunk. Because these were all, if you remember, old bus trips, they always had a beer sponsor, and that was part of the deal, is that we had to have a couple coolers full of beer on the buses for everybody to get
Why
drunk.
don't we do this anymore?
You can run them, pal. You want to run the bus trips? You go ahead.
We were going from Cleveland to Cincinnati once after a game, 3 hours, I think it was, 3.5
soccer,
hours
you mean?
in soccer.
Okay.
And I don't even remember. I might have put on. This was 1996. And I might have put like Caddyshack on or something, and everybody fell asleep. And one of our former local players here with a flavor for adventure put in his own video.
Oh. Was it
Like-
was it a homemade film?
No, but it was
Okay.
of that. It was of that. It was of that
Someone
ilk.
else's homemade
It was
film.
of that ilk.
Yeah.
And at like 2:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
we're all we're driving down whatever the interstate is.
Yeah.
And I'm one minute, Rodney Dangerfield's like, okay, you can owe me, and the next minute,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear
that's-
this noise,
Yeah.
and I
yeah.
wake up and I'm like,
thumping.
that ain't Caddyshack,
Right.
and he's over there cackling, laughing.
Right. Right. I don't know that how would that fly in 2024? I guess
Well,
probably
I mean,
probably wouldn't be very popular.
I don't know that would even matter. It's a men's
Yeah.
professional soccer team bus.
You say that. I don't know. I don't know how it goes. All right.
Right.
The Orioles got their guy.
Oh yeah.
Tomoyuki Sugano, since the
got
last
him.
time I was here.
They got him all right.
They signed a pitcher, so they got that going for him. And I would say everything's set now. And all of you guys that were freaking out about Mike Elias, you probably owe an apology, I think is.
Well, they're going
the
to
way
do
that I
something
would say
else. Don't you think?
it. I would like to hope so, but do I know
I have
that?
a funny feeling that somehow they're going to get one of these bats still.
What?
Whether or not it's Hernandez.
I don't think they're getting Hernandez.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't.
Like, could they end up? Is
Is-
Christian Walker still
Yeah,
available?
Christian Walker or Grichuk. Is he available?
Wasn't the word that they were choosing between Grichuk and O'Neill?
Maybe, but they're not really the same player. But yeah. The one thing about getting Grichuk, well, we don't have to worry
Yes,
about him
right.
anymore.
He
used to
ki-
have.
He would
He used
kill
to go 4 for 5 against us every game.
100%. Would just murder the
He was
Orioles.
before Mountcastle owned the Blue Jays. Grichuk owned us like that. No matter what happened, and for a while so did Bichette, and then he went away. But as soon as he started wearing a man bun, he was done.
I didn't realize how good Grichuk's numbers still were.
Yeah,
last
he's a
year.
275 career hitter.
Well,
right?
No, he's a 250 career
Oh,
hitter.
okay.
But last year he OPS'd 875 last year. Like, I did not realize
For a
how
terrible
good.
Games did he
team.
play? Yeah.
He played 106 games.
For a terrible team.
Arizona wasn't terrible, but they weren't.
They were not competing for a World Series.
Correct.
Right.
That part is true. I agree with that.
Well, we're getting another pitcher, right? Or are we just waiting for Bradish and assuming that's what
I can't figure it out. Like, it's funny because I was confident like they were going to add
somebody.
a real pitcher.
Eovaldi or Manea or
Yeah.
and I don't even want to say they're real, but they're major league veterans.
Oh, and we were all going to be disappointed when the answer was Eovaldi. When the answer was
Right.
Eovaldi,
Yeah,
we
we're
were going to
be like,
say,
come on,
wow.
really? Right.
And now, are they going to get that? Look,
But
everybody.
look, this dude could be Wei-Yin Chen again.
maybe.
I mean, Wei-Yin Chen wasn't 35, but
Right.
and this guy doesn't throw hard.
No.
Neither did Chen particularly, but I just don't know how a 92-mile-an-hour
Well, it's
fastball guy given, I get it, he's got 4 pitches. 3 of them, everybody says, are like elite.
And he's apparently quite precise, right? Like he apparently
In the Japanese league.
Well, okay, but that specific trait is one that should be translatable. Like his numbers, I have no idea if he'll have the numbers that he had in Japan here, but the ability to you don't, but I get it. The ability to hit his spots, the ability to put the ball where he wants to put the ball, that is a trait that should translate no matter where you pitch.
I think that they are saying, here's what I honestly think is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked me this yesterday. And there's no way for them to publicly say this, but I think Boris made a very interesting comment. And I think they've told Boris in so many words, or they've just sat down over a glass of wine and told him. I think they're saving their money for Gunnar and maybe Rutschman, but I think they're saving their money. And I think Rubenstein has said to Elias, you can have $300 million now if you want it. You want to go get one of these guys. You want to go give some guy $45 million a year for 7 years. Go ahead. But I'm telling you, in 2027, I'm not giving you $800 million for Gunnar if I got to give you $350 and $350 over the next 2 years for you to make the team better. Can you compete with this current roster? Maybe catch lightning in a bottle, maybe acquire some guy at the deadline, and then I'll give you your $800 million for Gunnar in 2027. That's what I think they're doing. Personally,
I think it's possible, right? Like I think it's possible. I would
because I don't think there's any other explanation for it.
I don't think that scenario is.
Why wouldn't you just give Corbin Burns $300 million?
Because
you brought him here, you traded for him. Not that we gave a lot away, but you did trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you just give him $300 million?
No, I
or
would.
whatever the number.
So here's my problem with the theory about saving money for Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson's a year away from arbitration.
Gunnar Henderson might also say, I don't want that money.
That's right now. You're not going to be able to get a discount on Gunnar Henderson if you're paying.
$800 million. That's I'll tell you.
You lost that opportunity. This is the way
change.
It works. You want those guys at the favorable numbers. You have to do it
early.
Immediately.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to do it now.
It's kind of a miracle. The Royals got the deal done with Bobby Witt. They got the deal done,
Right.
and
It was
even that
total steal.
Was earlier
Right.
than what we're talking about.
So you'd have to give Gunnar right now $35 million a year.
I would say at least.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could. I don't even know that you could get him for $35 million a year at this point. I would find that to be somewhat unlikely.
Disrespectful.
Again,
right.
with maybe the caveat being that you perhaps go to them and say, we just want to buy. We'll buy the arbitration years if you'll be willing to add one more year on. And so you could say today, you could announce a 5-year deal for Gunnar Henderson, right? That's really only one more year. But it does give you one more year of Gunnar Henderson, and to some extent it pacifies the masses. But
I remember when George Foster made $1 million, first guy to make $1 million, my dad said they've ruined baseball.
Right, because he made $1 million. I understand that.
He did.
They've
ruined baseball.
Right, I believe it.
They're giving a guy $1 million to play baseball.
Yeah, right.
The league will be out of business.
Never coming back, right?
My dad said the league will be out of business.
Well,
the league will be out of business in 3 years.
Off by a bit.
You mark my words, he said.
But from a business sense, it would be nuts to you're just bidding against yourself, right? Over 1 year. The best you could do is maybe 2 years, right? Like, can we pay you now to buy 2 years past arbitration? Because
how old is he? 24?
Gunnar is, I thought
23.
He was,
he's
I thought that.
Okay.
He's 23 because he's
so
a year younger.
And I'm sure in his mind, and or in Boris's mind, they're saying, no matter what we do, when you turn 28, if you're a 2-time league MVP and you have won a World Series with the Yankees, we'll get you another. We'll get you another $750 million.
Right now, he's in line to be a free agent at 27, which is the uniqueness of what just happened with Juan Soto.
Right.
Like what we saw with Juan Soto is about the fact that he was able to get the free agency in an age where players don't get the free agency.
Yeah, they usually get there at 30.
Gunnar won't be as young as Juan Soto,
right.
But he'll still be, at the moment, he'd be slated to be 27 when he reaches free agency, which essentially means print money.
I hope he hits 180 this year. So we get him cheaper.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want a 180 hitter, you can.
No. Once we pay him,
you want it to be kind of worked out perfectly.
300 again.
Look at how that would play
swear.
out. So could it be? Yeah, it could be, but I just don't think it just doesn't feel likely that Gunnar Henderson's camp is saying, yeah, we'll take. Now, if the Orioles want to give him the number that he'll get, if they want to pay Juan Soto money for Gunnar Henderson, they can probably do that, and he'd probably be willing to take it. But you're not getting a Bobby Witt deal done with Gunnar Henderson at this point. He's a year away from arbitration and making.
And he'll get $14 million or so.
Correct.
His first year arbitration.
So trying to lowball him, like, the money's coming. Now it's what makes it worth it for me to not get the big. How are you convincing me that I shouldn't hold out for 4 years from now being the big ticket item? Being the top.
I think the Yankees did themselves well, having lost him and effectively taking that money and adding Bellinger and Fried.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm less concerned. I was really worried they were going to get
somebody else too recently.
They had didn't they get?
Oh, they got the closer from the Brewers.
That's what I was. Yeah, Devin Williams. If they had gotten Kyle Tucker, that would have been really like that.
Where did he go? Cubs.
Yes.
Went to the Cubs. Did Bregman sign anywhere yet?
No, not that I know of. Not that I know of.
He's like my favorite non-Oriole player in baseball.
Why?
I don't know. I've just always
Okay.
I've always liked him.
Okay.
I've just always liked him. He was just like Billy Butler was always one of my favorite players. Mike Sweeney.
Why would Billy Butler? He's a donkey.
Watch what you say about Billy Butler.
Why? What was it about Billy Butler?
Know.
Plus F the Royals. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I liked Mike Sweeney too. I don't know.
Well, Mike Sweeney was more of a baseball player.
Yeah,
like he was.
Watch what you say about Billy Butler. He had great
Billy
numbers.
Butler was a donkey.
Oh, get out of here,
He was a
donkey!
donkey.
You're a donkey.
Well,
Billy Butler was a nice baseball player.
What I wouldn't give to be a donkey.
About David
actually.
DeJesus?
No.
Not
But anyway, I don't know. I've always liked Bregman.
Okay. So
I've just always liked
him.
him.
Do I hear that you have to leave?
I do. I gotta go. I gotta go pick my my daughter and her friend.
All right. It's been a difficult week for me, and so I apologize. I wanted to try to do a collection event. I would still like to do it. We are getting to the point where we're probably not going to take everything before Christmas, but that's okay because this is toiletry. Toiletries and underwear are for the people. They weren't going to be Christmas gifts. So we'll figure that out. I would still like to do an event somehow, some way. It's been a tough season for my family, so we'll figure that out. We'll work on it. I am 4-0 in the bowl pick'em. I do have that going for me. Or 3-0? I guess 3-0, right? Because there was one game last night. Thank you. Memphis holding off West Virginia and whatever that one was last night.
Carry over a little bit.
Speaking of bowls, you left something in my car last week.
Okay, there we go. That's our guy. Drew'sMorningDish.com at It's a Hooded Flyer.
God bless you.
Merry Christmas.
No, I'm going to see you Monday.
Oh, you coming in for that? You're coming in for these shenanigans?
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
I love it.
What time is it?
Whenever.
Is it an all-day thing?
Would you tell people that if they would like to bring donations by, that we could have them in during that? Like,
what time are you here Monday?
We'll start at 10 a.m.
And go to when?
Whenever we feel like stopping.
Okay, because I got the pantry on Monday.
I don't know about 4 o'clock. I don't know. What time do you have the pantry?
Well, it's open from 10 to noon, 9 to noon. I have volunteers there. I'll figure it out.
They definitely don't need you. Like, I've talked to them over there. I'd say you probably get in the way more frequently than anything
You've heard of
else.
Reggie Jackson, haven't you?
No, tell me.
Straw that stirs the drink.
There.
I'll see you later.
Drew Forrester.
Go Hall.
Drew'sMorningDish.com. How'd that work out for him? Hey. Appreciate him stopping by. Hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. The CIAA tournament returns to Baltimore late February, early March, CFG Bank Arena, and you can save $10 on single-session general admission tickets when you use the code HOLIDAY as you purchase your tickets at CIAAtournament.org. This man has offered some really fascinating insight this week about what the data says about the Baltimore Ravens and why they are now, despite their record, the number 1 DVOA team and what to make of it moving forward. He, of course, is the Chief Analytics Officer at FTN Fantasy. In many ways, the godfather of football analytics. He is our friend Aaron Schatz, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Aaron, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Thank you for having me on. It's an interesting year for the Baltimore Ravens.
It's a fascinating year, right? And, like, I've read so much of the work that you've done this week, and, like, diving into why DVOA likes them more than, say, EPA does, and what matters and what doesn't matter. And one of the data points that you talked about is that DVOA does not, penalize as much for fumbles, and the idea is that they're not predictive, and I get that, but are they? You know what I mean? Like, should they be more predictive? Should at some point we say?
They are predictive, but they're not as predictive. Basically, So first of all, fumble recovery is not predictive. When a team fumbles 12 times and they only recover 2 of them, that's not predictive, because when that ball is bouncing around randomly, whoever hops on it is pretty random, right? Causing fumbles is a skill, but it's not as predictive as yards and first downs are. And so when I did my last update to my stats, I made all turnovers, fumbles and interceptions, less important, because they just don't predict the future as well as the yards and the first downs do.
Okay, so should I guess what you're saying, like, at some point the numbers will even out. Like, is that really what it is with fumbles? Is that, like, you assume that a team's going to recover about half of the fumble?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, different fumbles get recovered at different rates, right? Like the most likely fumble to be recovered is the blown snap.
Yeah.
And the least likely fumble to be recovered is if you have a reception way downfield and you fumble it, there's usually not a lot of offensive players around to recover that. Usually the defense is going to get that. But it's a big difference between Baltimore and Buffalo, because Buffalo has 0 fumbles on running plays this year. 0. And Baltimore has 6 on running plays plus 5 on what they call aborted plays, which are bad snaps or bad pitches. Okay? And it is just really unlikely that the odds of a future Baltimore fumble are that much higher than the odds of a future Buffalo fumble. Like, Buffalo may make it through the rest of the season without a fumble, but it's not like you can expect that Baltimore is going to fumble another 4 or 5 times and Buffalo won't fumble at all.
Sure.
Like, it's just closer than that.
Aaron, I think the way that you described it, that was as simplistic to me, is that the Ravens' offense, for the most part, has held up, right? Like, there were a couple of wonky games in there, but for the most part, they've held up at this unbelievable pace that we had talked about earlier on in the year. And that the thing, I remember us having this conversation early on in the year and you stressing they're not a bad defense, they're an average defense. And it feels like that, like, just taking even a minimal step forward was enough to match the offense in order to say that this type of football, if you can play this football, this is good enough to win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is. Their run defense is very, very good. Okay, they had some problems against Philadelphia, but other than that, their run defense has been outstanding all year. The pass defense is not terrible. It's kind of slightly below average. And the reason why they've given up so many yards is that they've faced so many drives. Like, they've faced, like, more drives than any other defense. So, of course, they've given up more yards. The other teams had the ball more than against other defenses. But I think their biggest problem is penalties.
Yeah.
And my research has shown that penalties are not as predictive as other things. It's more likely that they will get a handle on the penalties than it is that they will suddenly stop gaining yards.
That's interesting. Aaron Schatz is with us, FTN Fantasy, as we're talking about the Ravens now being the number 1 DVOA team. Aaron, some of the other points that you brought up is like there's a fourth quarter dynamic to this.
Yeah, the DVOA measures things in the fourth quarter different than EPA does, and I don't know honestly which is better. That's the one. The reason why this is coming up is because a lot of the other advanced stats people have Buffalo right now as the number 1 team.
Right.
And I have Baltimore 1, and I have Buffalo 4 behind Detroit and Green Bay. So I was really concentrating on the differences between those 2 teams. And the fourth quarter is the one where I don't know whether my system is better. But the other one was fourth downs. Buffalo has been by far the best team this year on fourth downs. And in the EPA calculations, fourth downs are hugely beneficial if you're good at them. But I think what Buffalo has done on 16 fourth downs is not really telling you much more than what Baltimore has done on 12 fourth downs. It's a very small sample.
So it's sort of it kind. I don't want to say it negates, but like they're essentially the same.
No, Buffalo has been better.
Right.
I just don't think it's telling you that Buffalo is a far better offense for the rest of the year just because they've been better on fourth down
uniquely. Okay.
Fourth downs are really rare.
Right.
Are really rare.
Right.
And you learn a lot more from first and second and third down than you do from fourth, but obviously fourth downs are really important. One of the tough things about stats in football is that what's important in describing the past is not necessarily what's predictive for the future, right? Fourth downs and turnovers are hugely important for discussing why teams won and lost in the past, but they're less important when it comes to predicting the future.
How do we measure this, Aaron? You also point out the Ravens have the best DVOA ever for a 9-5 team. How do we measure what they do? And that, again, analytically, the data says they're the best team in football, according to DVOA. How do we measure that versus the value? What somebody would ask is, but they have lost 5 games, and like the value of a team that figures it out and wins can we quantify that in any way? Is there any way to look at the fact that it matters that in 5 different games they've come up short in the closing moments?
I'm going to say 2 contradictory things. The first is that clutch performance is a cruel mistress, and that often teams that win more games than they should because of clutch performance find that in the most important time, the clutch performance disappears. The greatest example being the Vikings of 2 years ago, which they were winning a bunch of games they never should have won, and then they got to the playoffs and they lost to the Giants. Okay, now here's the contradictory thing I'm going to say. I did some research earlier this year. There definitely is evidence that there are certain coaches who have a consistent record of having their teams outperform the underlying play-by-play statistics. And John Harbaugh is not one of those coaches. He doesn't, unlike Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't have a record of underperforming the underlying statistics, but he has some years that are better and he has some years that are worse. Now, one of the coaches who does have a history
can I just assume that Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin on that list?
Is Mike Tomlin, and that's the problem. That's the problem. You look at underlying stats, and there's no question the Ravens are better than the Steelers this year. Like, it's not close. It's not close. But the Steelers seem to play Jackson really well, and Tomlin has this history of his teams overperforming. It's pretty remarkable. It's like every year. Okay? So I would worry about Saturday, right? Like, even though my numbers are like Baltimore's favored by 6 or whatever, and that's a good line, I would worry about now. If they beat Pittsburgh, now I have them 50-50 to win the division because they would have a better an easier schedule the last couple games. The Steelers have to play the Chiefs on Christmas.
Yep.
So, whereas the Texans are not as good as the Chiefs, right? So, this is this is like the most important game of the week in the whole NFL.
Yeah, no, there's the volatility of this game is insane, right? Like, it's absolutely nuts.
Right.
Aaron, if I posed it this way, and I know this comes off as an opinion, and you're more of a fact than opinion man, but if the data says this, then do you say the Ravens are the team to beat in the AFC, or is it more complicated than that?
No, the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC because the Bills are much more likely to have the home field advantage. And the home field advantage and who you play in the playoffs matters. Basically, Baltimore has the underlying play-by-play performance.
Right.
Kansas City has the win-loss record, and Buffalo has both. So Buffalo is the team to beat.
I understand the thought. I guess that would be the question: is why wouldn't it be Kansas City if they're again, whatever is going on with Patrick Mahomes aside, if they're the 1 seed and they're hosting? I know the data is not kind to them. I understand, but how do we measure that and describe what the Chiefs are?
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Dealing with Kansas City is frustrating because of the feeling that they're the Lakers, that they're the thing that we've seen in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a team that doesn't take it completely seriously in the regular season and then puts on the Jets when you get to the playoffs. That's what everybody thinks Kansas City is. But I will note there was another team that was like this, and they were called the New England Patriots, and they had won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, and we went into the year 2005. And the Patriots were not as good as they had been the previous couple of years. And they went to Denver for the playoff game. And everybody said, well, Brady and Belichick know how to win in the playoffs. They're playing Jake freaking Plummer.
Right.
They will raise their game. The Patriots are going to win this easily. And Denver won because Denver was the better team that year.
And look, that'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. It's very difficult for me. Like somebody asked me, hey, what's going to happen? I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to win just because
I know. No one wants to pick against the Chiefs.
Right.
No one wants to pick against the Chiefs, especially now that the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
yeah. Right. I thought it was like, the Chiefs may make it through the AFC,
right,
but the Chiefs
they got
are going to play the Lions.
Yep.
And now the Lions, everybody on the Lions is hurt,
Yep.
especially on their defense. And it's like, here we go. The Chiefs are going to win another championship. And there's a chance that the Chiefs win another championship. But I think the chances are stronger that it's Buffalo or that it's Philadelphia or even that it's Detroit.
Can I wrap with this, Aaron? We get to the playoffs, and look, there's been a lot made this season about, you brought up 4th down a little while ago, decision-making. John Harbaugh going for it from his own 16, and the Bills going for it as frequently as they do. And there's this old adage that, yeah, but you don't do that in the playoffs. Are we reaching a point where that's going by the wayside? That, like, if these are decisions that you're making in this football game, these are probably decisions that you're making them because the data says you should make them, and it's not going to change just because the game happens to be played in January?
Absolutely. And they're also getting to a point where there are certain coaches, namely Dan Campbell, who aggressiveness is part of who they are, and it's not just about the numbers anymore. Dan Campbell makes aggressive decisions that the numbers disagree with.
Yeah.
Because aggression is his thing. Like that onside kick attempt, right?
But that was insane.
That was not an analytics thing.
Yeah.
That was not an analytics thing. That was aggression is his thing. And so is Dan Campbell going to keep doing that in the playoffs? Absolutely. I disagree with the onside kick, but for the most part, is he making wise decisions because he's so aggressive? Yeah, for the most part he is.
I can't. I don't know why anyone in the NFL is signing up for an onside kick unless they absolutely have to at this point. Like,
I am with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. Yeah. You have to do – this is why – oh, God, I'm forgetting which team it was. Oh, Buffalo. Buffalo a couple weeks against the Rams, they ran Josh Allen and had to take a timeout. And because they had to take a timeout, they had to try an onside kick. And the reason why we all disagreed with that was because as good as Josh Allen is at the sneak, you have to do everything in your power in the modern NFL to avoid the onside kick.
Yep.
Until they change what you do for an onside kick, which is coming. We all know it's coming. But until that, you have to do everything in your power to avoid the onside kick. So I do think Dan Campbell made a mistake.
This was happening. I can't remember. What game was it just the other day where they were like holding on to all 3 timeouts, even into the final minute, like desperate in a 2-score game. And it was getting to absurd. It was like 30 seconds left, and they were still holding on to. God, I wish I could remember what game it was because it was this.
And it's because you have to avoid.
Yep.
It was Detroit. It was Detroit
Was that who
against
it was Detroit against
Buffalo.
Yep.
Because you have to avoid the onside kicks are recovered like 7% of the time.
Yep.
It's unbelievably rare right now. It's more rare than the NFL wants, and that's why we're going to get back to discussing the Schiano rule.
Yep.
Which is that you make it an offensive play and you say you need 15 or you need 20 yards. 4th and 20 is probably closer to what they want it to be than 4th and 15 at this point. But people always talk about it as 4th and 15. But that's probably where we're headed.
See,
that it's going to be 4th and 15 or 4th and 20.
I don't know where, and I gotta let you. I don't know where you are with that. I'm okay with that if it was going into the end zone. I'm not okay with that in the open field where all it takes is one receiver getting behind someone and you're done. Like
they throw a DPI flag. That's
correct.
What you don't want. What
Correct.
you don't want is that 4th and 20 becomes let's underthrow the ball and get an easy DPI flag.
So
That's
I would say
want.
if you're going to do it, it's got to be going into the end zone. It's got to be like there's got to be a boundary there.
4th and 20 from the 20,
yes.
or 4th and 15 from the 20.
That would be my thought. Like I can't and I'm not trying to suggest that it would suddenly make it so that like half of these are converted, right? Like I'm not, but it still has to be extraordinarily difficult to me, and that's my thought. But that's conversation rather.
Yeah, I understand that.
Aaron, what all can I plug for you, my friend?
FTNFantasy.com is the website. We have a holiday sale going on right now on all your FTN stuff with code HOLIDAYEDGE. You get 15% off. And we have the top DFS and sports betting tools, plus all my DVOA data and content. So FTNFantasy.com. You definitely want to check it out.
And at Schatz, SCHATZ NFL on Twitter. Are you on Blue Sky, Aaron?
I am on Blue Sky. It's ASCHATZ.bsky.social without the NFL, just my name.
Give him a follow there as well. Aaron, appreciate you, man. Thank you for doing this morning. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
You got it, man. We'll talk to you in the playoffs.
Aaron Schatz with us here on GCR. Fascinating stuff. It was the Detroit-Buffalo game, right, where they're going back. We didn't get to talk about it because, unfortunately, we had the truncate picks the other day, but they're going back down the field, and like they're clinging to these timeouts. And you started to hear who was doing that. Was that
yeah, that was CBS.
It must have been Romo that was doing the game, yeah. And they were talking about like, hey, and Romo was saying once you get under 40 seconds, that's the cutoff.
Right.
Like you gotta call the timeouts once you get under 40 seconds. And I understood exactly what Romo was saying. I got it entirely, with the caveat being you're do everything in your power to protect the ability to get the ball back, which you just assume when you get to the onside kick, it's 1 in a million. If you keep the timeouts, it's 1 in 10,000, which doesn't sound great, but in comparison to like if you really do that math, it's exponentially more likely than an onside kick. And they were doing everything in their power, but Buffalo was defending it exactly. Hey, you want in the middle of the field? By all means, it's there. We'll keep that clock running. We're happy to participate in that. And it didn't work out clearly for Detroit in that scenario. And I thought it was a fascinating look at how you handle this now. And the idea being when we criticize like John Harbaugh or the Ravens for having to blow a timeout early on, you have to have those timeouts because the onside kick is
impossible. Doesn't happen.
I know we think that's ironic because two of them were converted again. I get it, but it's what it is. All right, we're going to chat with Landon Robinson from Navy in just a second. He had the huge fake punt conversion to help them beat Army. So we will do that when we come back in. It is a Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at pressboxonline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at driveeasymd.com.
Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR. Project Game Day returns this Saturday, immediately following Ravens Steelers. Come hang out with myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Steck, Griffin. The whole crew will be with you. PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day. It's brought to you by Harford Holidays, as well as the Governor's Challenge, 1-800-GAMBLER, and Easy Pass. We will see you on Saturday for the next Project Game Day. All right, we had to do this a little bit earlier on because they have another football game to play next week, and so they got to get back out to practicing. But what a huge win it was for Navy on Saturday over Army, and Landon Robinson was a big part of that. Let's take a listen right now here on GCR. Well, of course, this past Saturday in D.C., an awesome victory for Navy over Army, and this man was a very significant part of it in multiple ways. Obviously, you know, he did what he normally does. He had 13 tackles, but then he mixed in the big man punt, fake punt conversion in a big spot in the game. He is first-team All-AAC performer Landon Robinson. He's with us now here on GCR. Landon, it's Glenn. Congratulations. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I don't even know. Have you even come down from the high yet? Like, are you still somewhere on a field in Landover, Maryland right now, living out every dream that you've ever had?
Yeah, absolutely. It was such an amazing, opportunity. It was just so great being out there, and just the feeling after the game is just like nothing I've ever felt before. Just looking up in the stands, seeing everyone going crazy, looking down at the field, seeing my teammates. It was just a dream come true, and I'm just, so thankful for it. Still haven't come down from the high.
And
Awesome.
it might take a while, and that's understandable. Landon, we know that that you had run the fake punt before, right? Like this wasn't. Did you know that there was a possibility of it coming back uniquely in this game? Had that been something that you guys had discussed in the week leading up? Like, hey, this is Army, we gotta pull out all the stops, or was it just in the moment that you found out that it was going to happen?
Yeah, it's always in the moment. You see these things and you see, a certain scheme that, it may end up working here. So you talk about it, but, and you practice it. But, when it comes up in the game, it's pretty much on the fly. So just glad it worked out for us.
What goes through your mind, right? Can you explain, like, once you know that's the call, is it, like adrenaline? Is it an anxiety? Like, oh, God, please don't screw this up. Like, what goes through your mind in those moments?
Yeah, when I'm on the field, everything that happens is just I'm very calm with it. It's just one play at a time, just making sure, I'm doing my job and making sure that I'm making the right calls. So when I got out there and I realized that it was time to make the play, I just, took a breath and then just saw the ball in and just took off with it. So I don't get too amped up or, oh, it's about to happen. I just, take it very calmly and just take one play at a time and treat it like practice.
Was there, when the ball came out, was it panic? Did you know immediately, like, or were you losing your mind, like, oh God?
No, I just wanted to see where it went.
Okay.
I was like, okay, like, I'm not a big ball handler. I've only, had it a few times, so I need to work on that. But, when I realized it wasn't in my hands, I was like, okay, like where is it? Yeah, then I saw the pile and I was like, let me just try and hop on and see, if I can, get a piece of it. But I'm just glad it worked out for us. And Colin Ramos was trailing behind me.
No doubt about it. Landon, now that it's worked a couple times, do you start like campaigning for maybe a goal line roll, something like that, like in the ball game?
That would be cool. If Coach Cronick, wants to draw something up, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But you never know.
Oh man, Landon Robinson is with us here on GCR. Landon, for you, because this is what this defense has done the last couple of seasons in becoming, a really incredible unit. How much did you guys like have a feeling going into the game, like we've got this, like the matchup favors us? We knew what the opinion was of a lot of other people around the country, but internally, the confidence that you guys had, did you have kind of a feeling that it was going to go this way?
Yeah, you prepare all week, and especially for Army, we had a bye week, thankfully before, the actual game week, and you scheme up these things and you go through practice and, you see these plays over and over and over again, and then you see it in the game and it's like, okay, like this is happening here, boom, this is happening there. So it's just something that you just practice and you get that confidence through your preparation. And, as we went through the coming weeks, I was like, okay, like, if they run this in the game, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then when you see it in the game, it's just like practice, like I said. So just went and made the plays that needed to be made. But, we knew we had a good defense. We've seen it, all year. We know what we could do. We know what the potential that we had. So we knew, like I said, we knew what we could do. So we just had to go out there and just take it like it was practice and do it in the game.
This was your first win over Army. There's oftentimes a saying, like in rivalries, that you're not a real midshipman until you beat Army. You're not a real. How much does it mean to you personally to have put your stamp on a win like this?
It means everything in the world. Like you just said, I've never beat Army before, so. When I was looking up in the stands and just, soaking everything in, seeing my teammates celebrate, I was just so happy, internally, just happy for the seniors, as they go out, with the win, versus Army, just as they go out with a CIC, it's just something I was just my biggest goal of the entire year, through the entire off season. You think about these things and you think about, going to the White House, you think about, beating those guys and getting a ring and all this stuff. But it's different when it actually happens in person. So just super emotional when it happened, and just so proud of my team.
I think it's bigger too, right, Landon? Because you arrived and experienced almost immediately sort of like this a season of change at Navy, right? Like a head coaching change and a little bit of a dip from where Navy football had been for a long time. and not getting the bowl games. How much has this entire season meant to you to be a part of this group that has, flipped the script for Navy football and gotten this program back to where it expects to be?
Yeah, it just means everything, coming in, seeing, different changes that were going on. It was just, I was just always thinking, what can I do to, help out? What can I do to, help the team get better? And I'm just so blessed and so thankful that I was able to help out. But just proud of the way, the team has worked this entire, off season, this entire season to get where we are. And, here we are at the end of the season, accomplishing one of our biggest goals. So just so proud.
I guess we can say with confidence that there is still a football team in Annapolis. They do still play football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can still say that.
We do still have a program.
I know you guys had fun with that. Were you genuinely using it? Like, were you guys talking about it in the 24 hours leading up? Like, were you guys we always use that term like bulletin board material. Were you guys allowing that to be something that fueled you?
It was definitely something that was fueling some guys. Like, I usually, try not to use that type of stuff to fuel my emotions, but it's definitely something guys were using, and definitely something that guys, fell back on after the win. So it was super cool.
It was fun. It was fun, and I was definitely enjoying it. Landon, obviously, like the season's not over, right? And
absolutely,
with the Armed Forces Bowl coming up, this opportunity to do it against an SEC program, one of the most historic football programs in the country, and while I get that for you guys, like the goals are, it starts with Army and the CIC trophy, and you've checked those off. How much does it sort of reinvigorate you to say, okay, now we have a chance to like further show everybody and prove everybody and whatever doubters by beating one of the biggest programs in all of college football?
Yeah, it means a lot. I'm just so happy to be able to go out there with my teammates one last time, this season, and give it all we got. And obviously Oklahoma is a great opponent, and the SEC team, something that I've never played an SEC team before. So I'm super, excited to have that competition and, play them. But it's something you just go out there one last time with your boys that you've worked with all season and just, play your hearts out. So I'm super excited for that opportunity.
It's really cool. He is Landon Robinson. He's with us here on GCR. All right, so, you and I have never chatted before, Landon. I'd love to know a little bit more about your path, coming from Ohio. Why it is obviously far more unique than anyone who chooses any other program and where they're going to go to play football. Why was the academy the right place for you? How did you end up in Annapolis?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming out of high school, I was a linebacker originally. I had about 30 FCS offers, but it was during the COVID time. It was very hard to, get your name out there, get recruited, besides through Twitter, just sending out your film. But when I got those offers, I was just slowly building, and then I ended up talking with Navy and Coach Volker. Ended up talking with Coach Volker, and I was just super thankful. Just saw how amazing the opportunity was after the academy, all the amazing relationships that you'll build, the opportunity to get a really good degree, as well as play high Division I football. So I just saw that opportunity, and I just, super thankful for it and took it, got here, and, said I was moving to defensive line. At the time I was about 230 pounds. So
wow.
I was like, oh man, this is kind of weird. But I took it and ran with it, and I ended up gaining about, 40, 50 pounds. And here we are today. So super thankful for the opportunity.
And yet didn't give up your speed in the process, and yet managed to. So wait a second. Now, because I think the word was that you've hit like 20 miles an hour.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah,
okay.
I hit 20 miles per hour.
Yep. I mean, are
at
you?
280.
Oh my God. It's so freakish. Like, just to hear you say that, it's such a freakish thing to say. And of course, the story of you being on the kickoff team last year that everybody loved. Like, how valuable was that for you as a young player to get that opportunity to earn that chance to be a part of the kickoff team? How much do you think that played a role in allowing you to sort of break on the scene and be an all-conference performer this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It just means everything, having the opportunity, when you first get out there as a young player, it's like, man, like, what can I do to just get on the field? And I remember talking, prior to that season, talking with Coach Yo, our kickoff coach, and he said that he just kept saying, 20 miles per hour is like the minimum you have to be able to hit to be on our unit. And, I was just like, man, what can I do, to be on that? It would just be the coolest thing to be on the kickoff unit and everything. So training, through that off season. I was just, just running fast as hard as I can. And I ended up hitting 20 miles per hour a few times. And I told Coach Yo, and he was like, "Let's see what we can do."
Oh,
so then the next season, I ended up on the kickoff unit, and the rest is history. So it was, super, super cool to have the opportunity.
Do you love running, or like now at your size, would you be good if like you didn't have to run?
No, sometimes I like getting out there and getting fast if I need to. Like that fake punt was amazing.
Yeah.
Being able to run down the field, but I like running. When I can get fast and get a little bit of moves on me. It's nice.
It makes you and I different. I have to be honest about that. We do not share that love, but it was awesome to see. How much have you heard from like fellow defensive linemen, whether be it your teammates or even just guys around the country? I think you probably like. Whenever a big man scores a touchdown, like the thick six thing goes around.
Right, absolutely.
I know there was a lot of love on social media for a big man run. Like, was there one in particular that like you saw somebody tweeting about you and you're like, holy crap, so-and-so's tweeting about me? Did you have any of those moments?
Yeah, just seeing it on ESPN, seeing it on CBS, I think a few defensive line social media pages that were pretty popular went and reposted it. So just seeing all of that, not one in particular, but just seeing all of those, sites, repost it. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Yeah, that's cool. So it was just, really cool opportunity to just, have that, just them to, see that I was running the ball. So I think it was just super cool. And hopefully, we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, right. No doubt about that. Landon Robinson, I guess, too, the cool thing for you is that you've got another season, right? Like, and is all of the goals that you accomplished this year, I'm sure they'll be even bigger next year, right? And like you'll be thinking about the conference championship, things along those lines. The other side of it too, and we talked about you making the commitment. Have you started thinking about what your service is going to look like? Is that something that I know you don't get the assignment until next year, but is that something that you've been thinking about and you have a vision for?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that, when you first come in here, you start thinking about, and you have a bunch of different experiences, and you have a lot of people around you that have had that experience and you can talk with. So I'm thinking, more of the Marine Corps side of things. They like to work out. They like to, do a lot of physical, activities. So I think that fits, more of my vibe. So that's where I'm leaning towards right now.
I mean, I think given your athleticism, that makes all the sense in the world. I know that's what Colin's doing. We were just talking to him about that last week, and we have absolutely need to say thank you for that, by the way, and we truly appreciate that willingness for someone like you to step up and serve.
Thank you so much.
Landon, where can we have everybody give you a follow social media wise? Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. I feel like there's a million of these nowadays. Where can anybody be giving you a follow?
No. Yeah, absolutely. My Twitter is just Landon Robinson. My Instagram is Landon _Robinson1. So yeah, just anywhere, everyone wants to follow me, that'd be cool.
Dude, we are so happy for you and for the team, and to be able to have a moment like that, it was truly an awesome thing to see. Thank you on behalf of all big men everywhere for showing out. Appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. Best of luck in the Armed Forces Bowl.
So much. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you having me. Have a good one.
I don't know why he's calling me sir. I don't know about any of that. No, Landon Robinson, that's awesome. Really cool moment. Great win for Navy, and now they face Oklahoma in the Armed Forces Bowl next. Hey, the top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wacomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org. That's G-O-V, govchallenge.org. I'm going to take a minute here. And, obviously I wasn't here yesterday, and I thank Griffin and Stan for pitching in and helping out and taking care of the show. And I think there's going to be another day later this week where they'll be doing that, and I really do appreciate it. You might have seen, or you might have heard on Monday, very abrupt end to the program as I got a phone call, and if you're not aware yet from either social media or from the guys, unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away very suddenly on Monday. And it's funny because I was thinking about. I don't know why I've thought about this in the last 48 hours, but I remember when I was a young man, probably 19 or so. I think I was in college. I don't think I was in high school. There was a girl that I had sort of dated in high school. She lived close to my parents, and by the time we got to college, I would say it was probably my first serious girlfriend, like the first serious girlfriend I ever had. And I remember when you're a young man, when you're a teenager, and I don't know what this is like anymore, but stereotypically the thought is always, well, like, the father of the girl that you're dating hates you, right? Like, you're the enemy. Pop culture always presented it that way, like, I'm going to get my shotgun, like that type of stuff. And I feel like when I was a young man, I always kind of projected that, right? Like, I almost stayed away. Like, I don't want to meet your dad. No, I don't want to do that. Now, again, I wouldn't say that I had. I did have a serious relationship in high school. But I would meet girls, I would date girls, and I had no interest. I'm not meet your dad hates me, like, and maybe they did. I don't know, right? Like, maybe in fairness, I couldn't tell you. But you kind of perpetuated the stereotype, like you're the punk kid that's trying to fornicate with his precious daughter, right? Like you think about those things. And I remember I dated a girl. Her name was Katie, very sweet girl, and I same thing. Like, we had a serious relationship, but I did everything in my power to stay away from her dad. Like, her dad was this terrifying figure to me. Like, he wants to kill me because he's afraid I'm gonna get his daughter pregnant, whatever it is. And so I just sort of stayed away from him. Like, I'd be over at their house for family gatherings, and I would purposely not talk to him. Like, he would say, it's not like he, it would just be I would walk away and walk to somebody else, walk to her sister, walk, more friendly territory. Because when you're young, these things happen. And I remember Katie and I broke up, and I don't remember where, but I bumped into her dad somewhere. And her dad came up to me and was like, man, I miss having you around. I really enjoyed getting to know you. If you'd ever want to go have a beer, I'd love to go have a beer with you. And it was, what? Like, what?
You're like, I'm 19. What's
yeah? I mean, I was, but not germane to the, it was just shocking to me. Like, I thought you hated me. I thought that was the way that this worked. I was very confused by it. And I never took him up on it. I actually regret that because I found out that he passed away a few years ago, and I felt bad. I was like, man, I never did, and that was a really nice thing for him to do. But it gave me this perspective that, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you're a human being. Just be respectful. I met my wife in 2008, and my wife's parents, like so many, were not together. They were divorced. And I met both of her parents fairly quickly. I remember, my wife was definitely thinking about a future together before I was. We were 25 at the time. And within a couple of months, she informed me that I was going to have to go to dinner with her dad. And I remember this I don't know why I remember it so well. I remember being at this first dinner with her dad. We went to Jerry D's, where he was a regular over on Hartford Road, and a place that we went a lot of times. A lot. And I remember sitting there, and my wife and her father were very alike. They were both very stubborn people, and I mean, she's still. And they would bicker, and they would go back and forth with each other, and it entertained me. But I remember, it almost felt like at a moment he was kind of doing a front where all right, I got to get your story. What's your deal? And in a moment, I felt like I had to put on this, well, sir, I'm. And within moments, I realized that's not what was going. I wasn't being interviewed. I wasn't sitting down with the CIA. My father wanted to get to know me because I was dating his daughter, and that meant that I was going to be a part of his life. And it didn't take very long for me to recognize that aspect of our relationship. And by the time my wife and I got to a place where we were seriously dating, he was reaching out to me and texting me and calling me, and we were going to get together and go have beers. Just the two of us. And not for him to interrogate me, not for him to any of those things. Just simply because I was part of his family now. And if I was part of his family, then we needed to be like family. Patrick Reddy, Loyola Blakefield alum, someone who seemed to know everyone. We would go out to Inverness Brewery up by us, and I swear to God, every time we were there, it was like a receiving line for my father-in-law. Like, everybody that came by, hey, Pat, hey. I had this joke that, like, some of the few times I've ever done stand-up, I've said, like, I've no idea how my father-in-law respects me. I do. I bitch about sports on the internet for a living. He doesn't like sports. He does not. In fact, he watched the first Steelers game this year. And the week afterwards, we got together, and he was like, man, what happened? And I looked at him, I'm like, what? Like, did you watch the game? He was like, yeah, everybody was into it, so I decided to watch it. And they lost. Like, Pat, what the hell? When did you decide you're going to start watching games? Like, he didn't watch games. He wasn't, like, opposed to it. He was generally aware of what was going on, but he just didn't. He had other things that he liked doing. He wasn't into sports. I always think, like, his buddies, they would have, their daughters would marry, like, somebody in the military or marry, like, a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And we'd be out somewhere, and he'd be like, and this is my son, and my son-in-law, and he complains about Justin Tucker on the internet. That's how he makes his vocation. Hi, I'm Glenn. And yet, like the guy loved me. And we talked constantly. And if we had gone a couple of weeks without getting together, he would text me and say, it's time. Thursday night, we're going out. During 2020 was a miserable year for so many people, but I've talked a lot about how, for me, it's conflicting because it might go down as the best year I ever had in my life because I wasn't able to work as much, and that meant my Saturdays were free. And so we started a tradition of I would take my kids on a hike, and then I would go meet up with their grandfathers, and we would all play putt-putt together every week. And it was magical. My father-in-law was a truly great man, a man of incredible skills. Like, whenever we needed anything done. This is one of the biggest problems with not having my father-in-law around moving forward is I am not butch enough, and I really was counting on my father-in-law always being there to take care of the issues that we had. There was an issue. My son somehow got into our bathroom, and I don't know how they did it, but they managed to lock the bathroom door behind them. Like, they weren't stuck in there, but they'd locked the door and managed to I don't really know, because I wasn't there when it happened, like how this played out, but the bathroom door was locked. We couldn't get in, and they had screwed it up somehow. But sure enough, my wife was just like, I'll call Pops, and sure enough, Pat came over and picked the lock for us, and that was just what he did. Like, he was just this ubiquitous presence in our lives. Would always want us over at his house. And he'd come over. I'm going to make dinner. Let's all get together. Always wanted to go to Jerry. He loved Jerry D's. God, he loved Jerry D's. I never had the heart to tell him I didn't love it as much as he did.
Oh.
I never had the heart because I was always like, yeah, Pat, let's go. We'll go to Cherry D's. You got it. He was a great man, a loving father, who you know, it's tricky when parents split up, but wanted desperately to make sure he was still an everyday part of my wife's life, and got remarried, and we included her and his wife Carrie and her son Jack, and you know, they were all family to us, and they all still are family to us. I don't have like some big takeaway. I wanted to tell you about my father-in-law because it's gutting. It's just gutting. I got to tell you, man, losing my father-in-law sucks, and it sucks for my wife clearly even more than it does for me, although she'd yell and say, I think you were closer to him than I was. Losing anyone, having to tell my kids the other night that their grandfather was dead is something that that hurt worse than when I lost my lifelong best friend. I'm telling you, that's a pain that I never knew. You know, like I wanted to tell you about my father-in-law because he was a special man, and I'm broken. I'm disjointed. I'm a zombie. I haven't slept much. My wife's a mess. And we got to do Christmas next week. We can't cancel Christmas and tell the kids, sorry, Santa's not, you know, your grandfather died and now Santa's not coming. Like, we got to do everything we can. So part of the reason I'm talking about it is I'm just telling you, like, things are going to be disjointed. That's why we didn't do Would You Rather Wednesday today. I didn't have it in me. I'm sorry. Like, I like having fun, and I like presenting silly hypotheticals, but, like, today just wasn't the day for me. And if I sound like I'm not emotionally into it, I'm not. I can't lie to you. I'm not. I'm going to be here tomorrow, and we'll do another show tomorrow, and then I'll be off Friday, and then you know, we'll do the drinking show on Monday, and we'll do our best as long as I got to make sure everything's okay with my wife. That's the most important responsibility that I have right now is, you know, making sure she's okay. So if that's the case, then we'll do all of that. I know a lot of you, I still owe you prizes that you won from the raffle, and I know that everybody keeps asking me about a collection event, and I want to do it. But you know, I had visions that it was actually going to be Thursday night. Like, that was my vision, that I was going to be able to tell you guys. I actually thought I might still be able to pull off having a guest to join us, and it's not going to happen. But I mean it. Like, when we do this show on Monday, I would like, if you guys have stuff that you've been holding on to that you want, I'd love for you to bring it by. If you have off work on Monday, come in, do a shot with us, something like that. And yeah, maybe after Christmas, because we talked to Helping Up Mission, and we're not gonna. There's no way for me to go do the shopping this week for all the stuff that you guys have collected, so it's gonna have to wait until after Christmas. And that's okay. It's toiletries and underwear. It's not, you know, the Christmas gifts that we were gonna be given. So that stuff is coming, I promise, and we'll get back into the swing of things. That'll happen. It will. You know, everybody's gone through grief. Everybody knows what this is like. So, just bear with me and bear with us. That's all that I ask for. And you know, hug your loved ones, tell them you love them. You know, Pat is a kind of an old school dude, right? Like, he wasn't the type to go out of his way to, like, I'll tell you I love you all the time. So, you know, Pat knows I love that guy. I love that guy so much, and I am so grateful for the role that he had in my life and my wife's life and my kids' lives. And I'll just say cheers. Cheers to my father-in-law, Pat Reddy. We'll come back in and we'll wrap things up.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/gameday or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/game day.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
And a number of you have reached out. I just should have said that when I was talking about my father-in-law. A number of you reached out and said some really kind things, and I really appreciate that. And a couple of you even brought up that you remembered hearing me talk about him on the show in the past. And yeah. Special person. All right. We are winding down for a Wednesday edition of the program. Yes, Maryland did paste St. Francis last night. We kind of alluded to that with Drew earlier, but didn't. I don't know what there is to say. It was funny. I was not able to watch the start of the game. As you imagine, we got a lot going on this week, and I looked down, and I think somebody was tweeting about the fact that it was a 1-point game, and I was like, "Oh God, I know how this goes. If they don't win by 1,000,000 points, then everybody's gonna be, they're not for real." By the time I was able to turn the TV on,
You turned it on, it was already gone.
Okay. They almost doubled them up. I think they came 4 points short of doubling them up, something like that.
Yes, it was 111 to 57. So yeah, almost.
So 3 points short. Yeah, 3 points short.
Yes.
They needed 3 more points, and they would have doubled them up. Dominant performance. Now they turn around Saturday and they get Syracuse. It's not a dominant Syracuse team, but it's one more opportunity to get a win over a power conference team before you get into the throes of Big Ten play. So that's what's going on there. Tre'Davious White was not on the injury report at all. That's good news for the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully that means a little bit more Tre'Davious White and a little bit less Brandon Stevens on Saturday. I'm not trying to make Brandon Stevens a lot. We didn't talk about the fact that they've essentially benched Trenton Simpson. Like that.
Yeah.
That's been a wild turn during the course of the year, and some of that is Malik Harrison has played pretty well. Chris Board has been extraordinarily helpful. One of the things we always joke about is like inside linebacker with the Ravens. Like we just trust that they are going to. There have been years they've gone into the year and inside linebacker has been a disaster, and then by the middle of the year they were like L.J. Fort and Josh Bynes, problem solved. And
they hold up.
They did.
Yeah,
that's the point. Like they have had a tendency to just be able to figure out inside linebacker.
L.J. Fort.
That year they were a disaster at inside linebacker that year. They brought back Josh Bynes and brought in L.J. Fort, and 3 weeks later we're like, I guess we're fine.
Yeah.
Like, not a problem. Trenton Simpson, kind of the odd man out, and that's a different conversation because that's draft pick capital that you're talking about. Where like, hey, it doesn't matter how you solve a problem as long as the problem's solved. Versus, can an organization have that high of a draft pick not contributing? Like, those are two different conversations, right? Like, you could have always had Chris Board. Like, that was always available to you. You needed your third-round pick to be a football player. But that's not really worth hashing out right now. Right now, all they need to do is get through the day. Like, they just need to get through the game. So that was the good news from the injury report. We'll see what the story is. I was really confused by – I thought there was a lot of optimism about George Pickens this week. And I swear to God, I saw reporters tweeting out videos of him at practice yesterday morning, only for them to list him as did not participate. So I don't know. I'm telling
it's Watt, it's Elliott, it's Pickens.
Yeah, with respect
Fields,
to Elliott, it's Watt and Pickens. Like that, the others, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if they play, I know Patrick Queen didn't practice yesterday, but apparently they just said that was a rest thing. I'm going to work under the assumption that all those guys play because it's the Ravens, and if it's possible that you can play, you're gonna. There's no more. You ain't holding anybody at this point. Like this is not a playoff game. The Steelers will be in the playoffs, but they are kind of playing for home field advantage. As we said before, they could lose this game and still get it in the first round of the playoffs, but they'd have to beat the Chiefs, and we'll see. I think if there's a possibility, they're going to play, and so I'm kind of operating this week like I'm just going to assume that T.J. Watt and George Pickens are out there. If they're not, it's extraordinarily significant for the Ravens. If either one of them doesn't play, if both of them don't play, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
But
and then all of a sudden,
oh boy, you lose that game. Oh, but yeah, I'm gonna work under the assumption that they both play. Anything else that happened while I mean, we really never
Michael Penix is now an NFL quarterback,
right? Michael Penix is gonna start for the Falcons. They time it so that he gets to play the Giants first before he would have to play, I think, the Commanders or the week after that. So that would be a real team the following week. I saw a lot of people doing the bit yesterday. Were like, well, this proves that everything made sense. I'm like, does it?
I mean,
does it, or would you have rather have had Michael Penix playing so that you were a bit more confident in turning to him now at this point in the season? And they don't have another game with the Buccaneers, right? So they don't.
No, yeah, because the Bucs beat them twice. Yeah, the Bucs beat.
Or did they beat the Buccaneers? Was it the other way around?
I thought it was
I think they might
because those were two of Baker's best games.
Because that Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Didn't they win that game? I thought they won that game.
How wrong?
I thought it was one of those. It was a wild game. I remember that. I thought they won that one. So.
You're right. Yeah, the Falcons actually beat. Yeah, you're right.
That's
Falcons
what I
beat
thought.
them twice.
Yeah.
It was that Thursday night overtime game, and then there's another one where
they would have the
a bunch.
tiebreaker if they do finish tied, but they're a game behind right now, so they obviously have to win out and hope for the best with the Buccaneers. I think that's it. They're not going to start Jameis in Cleveland anymore, which is a bummer for football because it means we just
can't
don't
start any Browns in fantasy either now. So
who were you going to start?
Well, Jerome Ford and
I guess
Jerry
Jerome
Jeudy had
Ford,
been a
yeah.
thing with Jameis.
I guess Jerome
so.
Ford. All right, very good. You want to go ahead and get a tidbit?
The top high school basketball talent from across the country once again returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through the 30th for the Governor's Challenge, presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and information, visit govchallenge.org.
What you got?
All right, so that was Lamar's second game of on Sunday. Was his second game this season already with 5 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. There are only 2 other seasons in which a player had more such games of 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. They had 3 games with no interceptions, 5 touchdowns.
Drew Brees.
Not Drew Brees.
Peyton Manning.
Not Peyton Manning.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady did it in
the year they went undefeated.
07. Yes, 2000. And he won the MVP that year as well. The other was an MVP as well. And he had 3 such games.
Kurt Warner.
Not Kurt Warner.
Roethlisberger.
Not Roethlisberger.
Mahomes.
It's a trick question. It was 2019.
Also Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson in 2019 also had 3 such games. So
All
if he does it again, then maybe then the MVP can start heating up again. So Maryland was the first time since 2005 that they scored 111 points.
Obviously, I remember who it was against in 2005. It was against Illinois, Western Illinois.
I have the box. It was not Western Illinois. I have the box score up here.
Obviously, because it was against Presbyterian.
No,
that's because it was against Maryland Eastern Shore.
No,
Colgate.
No. It is a New Jersey school.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson, yes. Well done. Yes, you know.
I was actually going to be on my list of I would have eventually gotten there.
And who was the starting 5 for Maryland in
2005? Hang on, 2005.
It was actually their opener.
Mike Jones?
He came off the bench. He was the leading scorer in this game, but he came off the bench.
DJ Strawberry? Chris McCray?
Yeah, Chris McCray was there.
Nick Canner Medley?
Yes, Nick Canner Medley.
So I got the back court. I need the front court. Boom Osby?
No. That was his name?
Well, I think his legal name was Bambale, B-A-M-B-A-L-E.
I don't think
but
so.
He went by Boom. I'm still in touch with him. He checks in every now and I don't know.
What's his last name?
Osby, O-S-B-Y.
Oh, okay, no.
He was a transfer, so it might have been the following year that he came in. So, James Gist?
Yes, James Gist.
And who else in the front court? Garrison would have been gone by then.
Garrison came off the bench, but he was there.
Really?
Yeah. Travis Garrison was
I guess
there.
It was 04. I guess that's right.
I don't really have any hints for him, so it's just.
You don't know who this
person is?
is?
I don't know who it is.
Will Bowers.
Will Bowers was on the team. He did not start.
Damn. I was going to feel really good about it. Will Bowers. Kenny Abekwe.
Kenny Abekwe. Right. Well done. Well done. There you go. You got the starting 5
really
and then some.
I really liked Kenny Abekwe, but he really didn't do anything well. I wouldn't say that to his face, but
went 5 for 5 from the free throw line in this game.
It was an era where you started to want your big
rebounds
to beat. Yeah, I mean he did rebound a little bit. That'd be mean.
16 and 8 here.
He
in the opener.
He just had no touch. It was either he scored at the basket or nothing.
He was one of those was he 7 feet tall?
But no, he wasn't. That was the problem.
Oh, okay.
He was only 6'9". He wasn't a center. He was
about Towson's 6'9" guy last night.
He was a. Did you bet the game on?
No, I didn't bet it. I just watched
your
it.
frustration.
They've lost 5 in a row. I did not bet on Towson.
I get it.
They've lost 6 in a row now, actually. So
it's not great.
It is not great. But the
conference season.
Conference season is different. It is a different season.
All right. Was there anything else?
I did have another one, but we can save
it at that. All right. Very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches. Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Not a lot in terms of local college hoops. UMBC is in action. They travel to Georgia Tech. That's on ESPN Plus at 7:30. Mount St. Mary's is at LIU in conference play. No, LIU's in the NEC.
No longer at conference.
Yeah.
Wait,
Mount St. Mary's is still in the MAC. Or Mount St. Mary's used to be in the NEC.
Yes.
It's what it is. It's not a conference game.
Rivalry
Mount St. Mary's,
rekindled.
LIU, 7 o'clock tonight on NEC Front Row. Bowl games tonight. ESPN for the Boca Raton Bowl.
Great. You didn't watch any of the Frisco Bowl last
I
night, did
did
you?
look at it at one point just to see, because I just wanted to see how Memphis
How
was
your
doing.
Memphis was doing, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I was.
was a great
My
game.
first bold pick of bowl season is tonight.
Memphis tried to lose. The final play was ridiculous. It
Okay.
was so West Virginia was down by 5. They got the ball back because Memphis decided, both of them. I mean, it's college football. It was horrible game management on both sides. I think you had West Virginia had their interim coach in, so nobody knew what they were doing. West Virginia got the ball back. Memphis should have been able to hold on and not because the guy ran out of bounds after picking up a first down inside the 2-minute warning.
Okay.
So West Virginia got the ball back. They were driving, and then Garrett Green throws a pick. So the game's over. The guy doesn't slide down right away. He starts running, and then he's like, "Oh shoot, I got to slide." As he's going for the slide, ball gets punched out. Ball gets punched out, and West Virginia falls on top of it. So there's 10 seconds left. They're gonna have one more chance at the end zone, I guess. And but then they review it, and they say since he started the slide,
that he's
down.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish they would have just said, nah, fumble.
Just let it.
Yeah.
For fun.
I mean, even though I had Memphis,
it's a bowl game. Like, let's just. What are we doing here?
West Virginia was already going to cover, so yeah.
Boca Raton Bowl coming
bowl
up this
season.
evening. Western Kentucky and James Madison. I don't remember who I'm on in that one, but
I can't tell you.
I think it was one of those like 50-50 games in the
Yeah,
conference. My first bold pick is tonight in the LA Bowl at 9 o'clock. Cal and UNLV, and I think it's something like 90% of everybody's on UNLV. I am on the Golden Bears.
Be on Cal as
California.
well. UNLV with the interim coach.
Well, yeah, but you're not unbeaten, so I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
You're only
You don't
you're
care.
only 2-1. There's 17 of us that are still unbeaten in the bowl pick'em.
Wow, the whole 3-0.
Yeah, right. Don't forget that. So those are 2 bowl games tonight. Other college hoops this evening: Oklahoma, Michigan, 9 o'clock on ESPN2. USC's at home at 10 against Cal State Northridge on Big Ten Network. Big East hoops tonight on Fox Sports 1. Xavier, UConn at 7. Butler, Marquette at 9. That's significant.
Yeah, okay.
Washington State, Washington, which I don't even know. Like, that's a Big Ten. It's a rivalry, but is it a I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's at 11 on
Clemson,
FS1.
South Carolina last night.
Oh yeah, was it? CBS Sports Network, Creighton and Georgetown at 6:30. Alabama, for some reason, is going to North Dakota tonight at 8:30.
North Dakota's got some weird schedule because they did a home and home on the same weekend with UTSA on Friday and no.
They just
Friday.
played
Yeah,
two
they just
non-conference
played
games against the same team.
They played it in San Antonio on Friday, and then they played it in North Dakota on Sunday.
ESPN2 is Memphis and Virginia at 7 o'clock as well. TNT tonight for Flyers, Red Wings at 7. That's also on True TV. Panthers Wild at 9:30, and then TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Non-sports.
Survivor season 47 finale of Survivor on CBS tonight. It's the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball as well on that'll be on ABC. So you can see all your favorites. You know, Tate McRae, Teddy Swims,
All of my favorites.
21 Pilots.
Love them all. Love them all.
Gracie Abrams, yeah.
Gracie Abrams was on SNL this week.
Yes,
I'm not.
yes.
I guess like her thing is she like supposed to be a Taylor Swift like ripoff or
guess.
something.
I don't know.
but
I
don't know. I thought she was.
yeah.
I thought she was talented.
Yeah,
like it's
fine.
sort of the way I feel about like the Taylor Swift.
Just have to wait for her to grow on me, I guess.
Taylor Swift used to make music that I thought was interesting and good. Like she hasn't done that in a long time. She just makes the same melodic like fake folk that's not memorable at all. I don't know. I thought Gracie Abrams was talented. It's just the songs didn't really do anything for me.
Even though there is a new episode of SNL this Saturday, there's the SNL the Christmas special thing.
I
is
do
tonight
love
on,
that. Means
on
that you get to
NBC.
hear the most important moment of the holiday season is Garrett Morris singing Winter Wonderland. That is really important.
Nate Bargatze will be on Fallon along with Little Steven because Nate Bargatze's got a
They're promoting the SNL Christmas special, actually.
That airs right before, actually, right before Fallon.
You can watch it on Peacock.
He's got a Nashville Christmas special that I think is tomorrow or Christmas Eve. Nate Bargatze does.
Okay. I think he's a Vanderbilt guy, if I remember correctly.
Okay. It's tomorrow on CBS.
I'm good.
I
wasn't really that interested.
Nate Bargatze.
I've got a very important.
Because you're going to be watching the season 12 finale of Masked Singer.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Tonight. No, I was talking about tomorrow night for
Nashville.
Nashville. I'm going to my own Christmas special. It's the St. Joseph School Christmas program that I'll be
Here's the good one.
with the kids. Yeah. So that'll be something.
I think that's right. Secret Lives of Animals docuseries on Apple TV Plus. Not narrated by anybody. Other the guy from Paddington. Not Paddington, but the guy from Paddington is narrating it.
Very good. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks also to Landon Robinson. Thanks to Aaron Schatz. And thanks as well to Charlie Batch. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow?
Stuff and things.
We'll do picks with KZ.
We will do picks.
Stuff and things. You want to remind everybody about Live Casino and Hotel?
Of course I do, but I'm assuming no one forgot. It's because every time that Baltimore's football team or Washington football team scores a touchdown during home games this season, Live Rewards members are getting $7 in free slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and be actively playing as well. But once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play. Great weekend to take advantage of this with Baltimore playing at home on Saturday, and then Washington with a home game on Sunday. Adirondack Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all our great sponsors and partners, including Visit Hartford, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Governor's Challenge, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, MSA, Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go UMBC. Duke sucks.